It's Saturday morning, live from across the Bostik Leagues. This is Back of the Net, where your weekend football begins.
So welcome to another Saturday show. Today we are live from Bromley Football Club, which is the current home of Cray Wanderers, and we're delighted to say that Tony Russell, the manager, is with us. We've also got Joe Vines, the assistant manager here, and we will have Gary Hillman, the chairman of Cray Wanderers, joining us very shortly as well. Lots of guests on the show. We speak to Jamie Stewart, the Grays athletic manager, ahead of course of the game in the FA Trophy this afternoon between Crays and Grays. And we have lots of other guests as well, all focusing on FA Trophy football today. Adi Gallagher and Steve Baker amongst those joining us. And we also speak to Cray Wanderers player Aaron Rule on the show this morning. Mick Sullivan is here as always, and we'll be doing the non-league football quiz for you to join in with on today's show.
Your favourite non-league football show, powered by Promote UK. We're really good at what we do. Back of the Net, where it matters.
So very good morning to you and welcome to the show today. It's all about FA Trophy football. Delighted to say that Mick Sullivan is here as always. Very good morning to you, Mick.
Good morning, Ben, and good morning to all our viewers.
And FA Trophy weekend means a lot to clubs at this level.
It should do. I think everyone can take the lead of what South Park done last season and went all the way up to Tranmere. Who's to say Cray can't do it today, or Grays, either one. Fantastic.
Is there again, we talk about like the FA Cup, is there a financial pressure for clubs going into the FA Trophy today?
I'm not so sure. I think Russell will probably be able to answer that. I would have thought his chairman's got a few bob anyway. I don't think he's probably worried about with how far they go in there. It's all about winning the league and going up the next level, I would have thought.
And how much is, I was just going to say, Mick, how much did the focus on the FA Trophy, perhaps if you're doing well in the league or you concentrate, can you just take yourself away and think, well, we want a good cup run here?
Well, it can be a distraction, but sometimes it can be a distraction to your own failure within the league. I mean, look what we done at Merstham last year, the great FA Cup run, and we ended up sliding down that table. So you can get distracted in a bad and good way. So, as I say, I don't quite know. I would have thought winning the league or being in the playoffs is probably your remit this year, Russell. I expect your chairman will probably want to run in the FA Trophy, but it's not as essential, I wouldn't have thought.
And so very good morning to Tony Russell and Joe Vines. Tony, first of all, for you, well, the question there, FA Trophy today, how important is it for the club?
He's right what he says. It's a tricky one because, you know, you do want to contribute and help the club out financially whenever you can, and obviously it's an opportunity to do that. But also, he's right in what he says. From me and Joe's point of view, you know, it's all about the league. For us, the main priority is, I mean, if you said to me at the start of the season you get dipped out of both FA competitions but you get promoted, I'll rip your hand off. So, but what we have said, we said it the last round, is it is a nice distraction away from the league sometimes, just to relax a little bit and just play. And sometimes the way we play, which you'll probably see today, is it allows us to reset what we do and just sort of play with a little bit more freedom maybe you would, because sometimes you get so caught up in the league you don't become as brave as what you would do when the pressure's not there. So sometimes it's nice just to take the pressure off the league and just let the handbrake off and let them have a bit of fun with it. And
Joe, talking about taking the pressure off and let them have a little bit of fun. We look at the last round, 8-0 win against Horsham. It's certainly having some fun there.
I think it's probably one of the most enjoyable games of football I've ever been involved in. You know, not just from a scoreline perspective, but, you know, clean sheet, a lot of free-flowing football, some very, very good goals. But, you know, what we ask of the boys more than anything is a work ethic, and, you know, for them to, you know, we play a particular way. You know, like Tony says, it'll be pretty obvious. We try to play football in the way that we would pay money to watch. So hopefully today you'll see a bit of that.
And the aim this season, Tony, promotion?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be surprised if any manager didn't say that at the start of the season. That's got to be your goal, and we're no different to anyone else. But we haven't got a divine right to expect that. We've got to just keep ticking the games off and keep working hard in training, and as I say, just do us. That's what we always say. Do us. Couldn't tell you who's in what position in what table. I don't really look at the tables. I just worry about us and just keep winning games. Or when you get away from home, don't lose and dig in and just keep putting points on the board. And if after Christmas, I genuinely get to February and I look at it, and then you assess it then of what's the target. You know, what is it? Is it to get automatic, or is it a playoff, or what it needs to be? But that's certainly the aim for us. And you know, we feel that we've got a good squad to give us a good campaign this year.
You mentioned that you assess it usually after Christmas. I'm going to get you to assess it now, as you're fifth in the Bostik South. Is that where you expect it to be at this stage of the season?
I think when I look back in the season so far, we've drew too many games, in the sense that I can't think of many where that we didn't come off the pitch saying we probably should have won that. We've lost one game, and that was against Lewis away when we were 1-0 up and we had 2 sent off in a quick succession, and we lost 2-1. So from that point of view, the players have been very good. Every game we've gone into, we've come out of there either thinking we should have won or we did win. So that's good, and obviously long may that continue. Yeah,
I'm just looking at your form. Unbeaten in the last 5 games, so it's.
I think it's 8.
Is it 8 games?
Yeah, I think it's 8. Yeah, so I think we drew 2 and won 6.
So it's at this stage of the season, you know, that's all you can ask for.
Like I say, our form's been good all year. All year we've been really consistent. We've got a good group, and I say every game. I mean, I'd be surprised if you speak to a manager who's played against us could say that they've come away from it thinking they should have got beat us or whatever. We've been in control of a lot of games, and most of the games, and like I say, our form's very, very good, and we're just starting to now put the points on the board that we probably deserved at the start of the season. For some reason, we were just finding ways of drawing games where we should have won, but now we're just starting to be a little bit more clinical in the final third. It's hard because any manager will tell you the first 5-6 games are like pre-season, and it's a little bit casual, and we've just started to get going there, and pre-season's over for us, and we're moving in the right direction.
And we'll talk about today's game in a moment, because we're going to hear from Jamie Stewart, the Gray's athletic manager. But before, your chairman's going to come on, and I'm sure we'll talk more to Gary about the club moving forward and the new ground. But for you, that must be a really exciting part of being involved with this football club.
It's why I come here. You know, they come in for me when I was at VCD in the Ryman Prem. I dropped down to come here because of that, because they showed me the plans and they were really confident of getting it. And as I say, Gary will go into it a little bit more, but it's just been a nightmare in what's happened with the ground, and they've got it and then they got taken away, and now we're going for it again. So, you know, it is the reason why I've come here. I believe that they'll get the ground. I believe there'll be a real big force in non-league football, and as a young manager, I wanted to be part of that.
And we look forward to talking to Gary and getting an update on that ground situation a little bit later on the show. Before we ask you about today's game, let's hear from Jamie Stewart, the Grays athletic manager, and I caught up with him yesterday. Just looking at the table before I gave you a call, and obviously for you it's only 1 defeat in 6. You've had 3 wins and 2 draws, and you know, a good point against Haringey Borough in the last game. You must be really pleased with how the last 6 games have gone.
Yeah, I'm really pleased. I could see it coming. Obviously, for me, a key part of that was bringing in Stanley Magoo to strengthen up in midfield. The experienced players come back to fully fit. So injury-free, we had a strong squad, and the boys are working hard. It was only a matter of time before the results started changing, and I was pleased with everything, and this is coming along nicely. So the results have gone well. Haringey, I mean, we heard a lot about them, and they're a good side. So for us, it was disappointing to be 3-1 up and then to go and draw the game. But I mean, a month ago, we wouldn't be saying that at all, you know, so that's how far we've come.
What are the expectations this season? Where do you expect to be? What are your targets?
Well, obviously, at the beginning of the season, but you say you want to aim for the playoffs and try and be up there amongst them. But then, obviously, the start we had, you know, people's views changed. But it was about us getting confidence in the team. We want to be as high as we can. We believe we can be up there amongst them, mixing with them. But it's about consistency. And we had a bit of bad luck, a couple of months ago with injuries. At one point, we had like 5 key players out. Jamie Slabber, Perry Coogan, Carlos, all key players for the team. And a lot of them done injuries, and the same injury happened again. So we had a bit of bad luck, but now everyone's fully fit. We'll just keep going, be positive, and see what happens over the next few games.
And your attention turns to the cup competitions, FA Trophy weekend. How important is that for the club?
Very important. It's obviously it's a big cup for Grays. They've been there before. They've experienced it. They've had a taste of it. It's something that every player wants to do. Players that come down from the leagues into one league, they talk about it. It's a special day. The further you go in it, big things happen, and you have great memories. And then memories stick with you. So we want them again at Grays. Hopefully we can try and do as well as we can and see how far we get.
Cray Wanderers for you. Do you know them well? Have you had a chance to watch them?
I do know them well. I live in Sidcup, so obviously I travel over to Essex for football. But Cray Wanderers is a team close to me. I've lived by them for a number of years. I've known a lot of players over the years. I do know their manager, Tony Russell, who was with VCD. He did bring a few of these boys from VCD to Cray. They're doing all right. They're going well. They're heading in the right direction. Everything's going well. It looks like it off the pitch for them. So they're in a good place. And it's going to be a tough game.
For the best highlights from across the Bostik Leagues, visit youtube.com/back of the net.
Yeah, Mick mentioned straight away then as that interview was playing that they're on good form as well. They are.
They are, but what worries me a little bit is they're pretty much going to be, is this going to be a Hayden and Mark White sort of love-in today? Because it looks like they both know each other quite pally. We want to see a feisty sort of game. Knowing Joe's involvement, it will be that way, I would have thought. And no, I'm not so sure if Aaron's involved today. That could be another issue.
He's bad funny enough.
Yeah, I think Jamie's been very clever with his wording there, because I'm from Sidcup as well, and I've grown up with him and his brother, so he knows to watch his words there.
So you know a lot about Grays coming into the game?
I've been over to watch them a couple of times. I popped over on Wednesday as well to watch them. You can see what you just said exactly right. I watched them about 3 weeks ago when the draw first got made, I think it was, and you could see they had no confidence. I think they played Potter's Bar, and Potter's Bar were just moving the ball about. And I said to Vinesy, I said, they look really short of confidence. But then I watched them in the game. They drew 3-3, and I actually left. I took the little man. Me and the little man went over, and we actually left with about 5 minutes to go, and they were 3-1 up and cruising. And to be fair, it should have been 5-6-1 up, and the keeper's pulled off a couple of really good saves. And then I got home and I said to Andy, I said, that game finished 3-3. He's like, what? I mean, literally, at 3-1, it was all Grays, and Slabs had a couple of headers, and the goalies pushed him out the top corner, and it was all Grays. And I was shocked to see that they drew 3-3. Honestly, it was Grays were very, very good in that game.
And Mick, one of those clubs that have got great FA Trophy pedigree, having won the competition in 2004, 5 and 5, 6, and of course they were a conference national team during those years, so they've been there and done it.
Well, the demise of a club is unbelievable, where they were and where they are now, and ground sharing even. Like, I'm wondering whether they need to bring someone in of the likes of someone that loves non-league football. Perhaps we can help them, that can actually push that club forward. They need to have a ground sharing at Averley's all right, but I think these lads will agree, yes, this is a fantastic venue to be playing, but you really want a home of your own. And, and I can see just Grays being a bit of a nomad team at the minute, and it's difficult.
So, Joe, today, what kind of game are we going to get on the pitch this afternoon?
Any game that we're involved in is competitive, first and foremost. What we say to our boys is, earn the right to play. It's a great cliche, I know, but that is literally where we start from. You will find that, from our perspective, we will try to play the ball on the floor as much as possible. We'll look to move, we'll look to pass. We've got a brand of football that, that I've inherited from Tony, but, it's quickly become, I feel like he's adopted me to a degree, and he's converted me, because as a player I wasn't quite, I was no Rio Ferdinand myself, but, Tony's really embedded a special way of playing football, and from my perspective, we will go out there in the same way that we do with every game, and try to play the game in the right way. I think Grays have got good players. I know a number of their players. You mentioned slabs already. He's a really good, experienced. He was at Bromley at one stage. He's been around the block as such. But I think it'll be an interesting game. It's definitely worth your £8 today.
Well, there we go. So if you're not already planning on coming down here this afternoon, then get yourself down. It's worth the £8. So we'll talk more about the game as the show goes along a little bit later. Of course, it is 3 o'clock kickoff down here, and it's the highlights on the Bostik League show tomorrow. Right now, we're going to do a little bit of a quiz. Are you guys mentally prepared for a non-league football quiz this morning?
Yep.
Just give it a go.
I'm going to just so Barnes, you don't copy me.
It's time to see who has the best non-league football brain in the studio. Tweet your answers to @officialBOTN.
So it is our non-league football quiz, and we all got paper ready to go. We're all
ready.
We're all good to go.
Ready.
Okay. So we got some good questions today.
Question 1.
The highest attendance so far this season in the Bostik South is 743. And the crowd witnessed a 4-2 home win. But which two teams were involved? So the highest attendance so far this season in the Bostik South is 743. And the crowd witnessed a 4-2 home win. But who were the teams? Tough one to start.
Bostik South only? Is that
Yeah, this particular question.
All right. Can we just name the home team, whoever it might have been, and would that be good enough?
Give a point for the home team
All right.
and a point for the away
It's
team.
easy, Mick, isn't it? He's cheating already.
No, I don't even know this, so I'm going to take a punt.
I think I've got the home team. But I'm
Yeah,
trying
I've
to
got the
figure
home
who
team.
Who they'd be playing? Oh, actually, no.
Difficult question
No,
to
I've
start.
changed my mind.
Okay, well, you can come back to it, it's fine.
Question 2.
Which Bostik Premier team has recently changed the name of their ground to the Specsavers Stadium? Is it Merstham, Met Police or Margate? Choice of the 3 M's. Which Bostik Premier team has recently changed their name of their ground to the Specsavers Stadium? Merstham, Met Police or Margate? If you're paying attention to the non-league football news in the past couple of weeks, you might have got that one.
Question 3.
Last season, Bostik Southside South Park reached the second round proper of the FA Trophy and were drawn away to Tranmere Rovers. The final score was 4-1. However, Sparks Boy scored their goal. Who was it?
Hang on, you've got the options as well.
Yeah.
Sorry, hold on. Who scored the South Hearts goal?
So which Sparks Boy scored their goal? We're going to give you one of the options. It's Chris Smith, Kieran Lavery or JJ O'Sullivan.
Wow.
South Park. Do you remember last season?
Yeah, I do.
Flying the
I
fan
got this
flag
one. I got
for...
this one.
Makes me wonder whether it's the unusual one out of the 3 that might...
They lost 4-1 up at Tranmere. They put on a really good display during that game, but which of their players scored their goal? It was a really good goal as well. Chris Smith, Kieran Lavery or JJ
This is a
O'Sullivan.
little bit unfair because all 3 of you were at that game. Were you
I
not?
didn't go to that game.
You sure?
I'm
Okay.
I'm very sure I didn't go.
And Remy and I are not playing the quiz,
Right,
so
fair
it's
enough.
absolutely
All
fine.
right.
Question 4.
Name the ex-Colchester, Brentford and Leyton Orient player who has recently been appointed manager of Tilbury. Name the ex-Colchester, Brentford and Leyton Orient player who has recently been appointed manager of Tilbury.
And I know this, and
I have no idea.
Can I ask a clue? Was he managing it this level before, or was he just...
he was assistant.
No clues.
He's an assistant somewhere.
No clues
was he?
anymore for Mick.
Right, okay. He's an
Does he have
assistant
brown hair?
somewhere.
No, he's got no.
Does he wear glasses?
He has been a first team coach as well. So
What, not manager, but
I
coach?
don't know. I've
first
got
team coach,
absolute.
and he was previously also with another Bostik team before his appointment at Tilbury. Those
You've
were the
really
teams
stumped me
he
on
did
this one.
play
I do know.
for.
You've
He
really
wasn't a
stumped me.
manager at those teams.
I know, yeah.
Okay, that's enough time.
Question 5.
Got him.
Named in the England C squad, there are 13 clubs in which the 22 players are from. Name as many as you can.
Oh, wow.
Question 5. So named in the England C squad, there are 13 clubs, 13 non-league clubs in which the 22 players are from. Name as many as you can.
Just work my way through all the clubs.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my god.
I think what we'll do is we'll say that you can have the advert break to work on question 5. So named in the England C squad, 13 clubs the 22 players are from. Name as many as you can. We'll be back with the answers for the non-league football quiz after this.
You're listening to Back of the Net, powered by Promote UK. We're really good at what we do.
Times are changing. We now live in a digital world where 9 out of 10 people use the internet to look for local goods and services. Whether in front of a computer at home or on a mobile phone on the go, people expect to find what they want, when they want, quickly and easily. The question is, can your business be found? At Promote UK, we specialise in getting local businesses found online. One highly affordable package will give your business a stunning mobile responsive website, which we guarantee to get to the first page of Google and keep it there. And we take care of everything: copywriting, design, hosting. We even offer unlimited amends all year round for no extra charge. So, whilst you're busy focusing on your business, we're busy making sure it can be found online all year round. Start your Google Page One journey today with a free online health check by visiting PromoteUKLimited.com. Promote UK. We're really good at what we do.
From Premiership to Playground, MH Goals has everything you need for an outstanding football match, including aluminium and steel football goals, nets, line marking machines, team shelters, boot wipers, and much more. Buy with confidence direct from the manufacturer with great prices available across our whole range of sports equipment. What's more, we offer fantastic discounts for all FA affiliated clubs. We pride ourselves on British manufacturing. We make all our football goals here in the UK and conform to the latest British and European safety standards. So call MH Goals direct on 01502 711 298 or visit our online store at mhgoals.com.
Are you a budding footballer sitting your GCSEs next summer, wondering what to do next? Want to play football while studying for qualifications that will get you into university? Dorking Wanderers Football Club are now recruiting for their football academy for 2018-2019. Based at their brand new state-of-the-art Meadowbank Stadium, you'll be playing in the National Conference Youth Alliance against the best clubs in the area each week, as well as the prestigious FA Youth Cup. You'll be studying BTEC Level 3 qualifications, equivalent to 3 A-levels, alongside professional coaching from our UEFA qualified coaches. For information on trials and open evenings, visit dorkingwanderers.com/academy or email academy@dorkingwanderers.com.
Head to backofthenet.south.co.uk tomorrow morning for video highlights and full match reaction of today's games. Back to your favourite non-league football show, powered by Promote UK. We're really good at what we do. Back of the net, where it matters.
So welcome back to the show this morning, live from Bromley Football Club, the current home of Cray Wanderers. We're doing our non-league football quiz right now, about to get the answers.
The non-league football quiz.
How did we all get on with it this week?
Not good for me.
Yeah, pretty difficult.
Got the old grey cells working.
Right, we'll see how we did. Official BOTN
mid-table in this one.
across social media if you want to play along.
Question 1.
The highest attendance so far this season in the Bostik South is 743, and the crowd witnessed a 4-2 home win. But who were the teams? Mick Sullivan.
It's just a punt, this. Lewis against someone. I'll say Hastings because they're another club that have got a few supporters, but it's a pure punt.
Joe?
I had Lewis and Horsham.
See, I went Guernsey versus Corinthian Casuals.
Luke?
See, now, I remember seeing this online. I think it was non-league crowds. They post the crowds every week, and I saw it, and I was shocked, and it was Guernsey, but I don't know who they were playing.
Wow.
So do I get half a point?
You get a point per team.
Yeah, you get a point per team. I can tell you that it was Guernsey that were one of the teams. The team they were playing against were East Grinstead.
Oh dear.
It's so
I
random.
nearly put that down. I probably not even played Corinthian Casuals yet. I've just thrown that in.
A couple of points given out there.
So
Question 2.
1 point for that.
1 point for that, yeah. Second question. Which Bostik Premier team has recently changed the name of their ground to the Specsavers Stadium? Merstham, Met Police or Margate? Mick?
Merstham.
Yes.
Joe?
Merstham.
I only went Mercy because I see him smirk when he finished. But he's the old manager, so I just pure punt. I went on that poker face.
Luke, you got that as well.
Give me a
take
point.
it.
Oh, yeah, I did.
Points all round. It was, of course, Merstham, who now play at the Specsavers Stadium.
Question 3.
Last season, Bostik Southside South Park reached the second round proper of the FA Trophy and were drawn away to Tranmere Rovers. The final score was 4-1. However, which Sparks boy scored their goal? Was it Chris Smith, Kieran Lavery or JJ O'Sullivan? Mick?
This is really interesting, this one. That's obviously Laverty and Chris are the key goal scorers. I wouldn't think JJ would come into goal scoring state. So I'm punting for JJ simply because the other two are pretty obvious. So I'll go JJ.
Okay, Joe?
I went for JJ. The only reason being is because I've never heard of any of those players, unfortunately. I've not watched the game they've played in. And my boy's name's Jay.
I went for Lavery because I've watched him play and he scores a lot of good goals. When you say it was a good goal, I've seen him score a few, so I've gone with him.
And what did Luke go for, Remy?
Luke went for Kieran Lavery as well.
Yeah, and it was not just it was a stunning, I think, 30-yard free kick for Kieran Lavery. Yeah. And he did really well in that game. Didn't deserve to be a 4-1 game, but yeah, the answer was Kieran Lavery. Okay, a couple more to go.
Question 4.
Name the ex-Colchester, Brentford and Leyton Orient player who has recently been appointed manager of Tilbury.
I'm going to let these answer because I didn't have a clue.
Yes, Joe Keefe.
Joey Keefe, yeah.
No idea.
Yeah, it was Joe Keefe. Yeah. Keefe joins the club from Canvey Island after a short spell as coach. He'd previously spent 5 successive years at Thurrock United as first-team coach.
Put myself another one down.
Question 5.
Named in the England C squad, there are 13 clubs which the 22 players are from. Name as many clubs as you can. How many did you get, Mick?
We'll go for only about 3 down. Aldershot definitely got a couple in. I know Jake Gallagher's in it. So Woking, I think, have got 1. I'm just punting Barrow. 3.
Okay, Ren will work out the answers, but I think you've got 3 points there. Joe?
I had no idea. I've not even seen any of the squad listings, but I put Ebbsfleet, Dover, Bromley, Hartlepool.
I've gone Bromley, Dover, Maidstone, Sutton, Aldershot, Chester, Tranmere,
go for it then.
and Ebbsfleet. You said the name as many as you want.
Yeah, well, that's right.
Wow.
Yeah, you done right.
Luke, how did you get on?
I got 6. I went for Brentwood, Aldershot, Sutton, Fleetwood, Woking and Bromley.
What made you pull Brentwood out of that?
Anyone in there on that? I'm in.
First one in my head. First one in my head.
Stick me down for 2 tickets.
No disrespect to Brentwood at all, by the way.
I think you were thinking Brentford and thought they're not in the National, they're a bit higher.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go through some of the clubs. So yeah, Aldershot had 3 players, Jake Gallagher, Chai Alexander and James Kellerman in the squad for them. Barrow had Daniel Jones. Blythe Spartans, an answer that you could have given. Daniel Maguire, Ryan Hutchinson and Jarrett Rivers for Blythe Spartans. Boreham Wood, Grant Smiths is playing for them. Bromley, Joshua Rees has got into the squad. Dagenham and Redbridge, Morgan Ferrier. Fergie Ockenbury, hopefully that's right. Matthew Robinson and Sam Ling, 4 players for Dagenham and Redbridge. They're the most represented club. David Ferguson, you could have had Darlington, he's representing them. Ebbsfleet United, Darren McQueen and Jack Powell. Kidderminster Harriers, Ryan Crosdale. Maidstone United, Alex Winter. St Paul's Jersey, Ewan van der Villet. Sutton United, Louis John. And Woking, Josh Staunton and Joseph Ward complete the squad. Remy, how did everybody get on in the quiz today? It's complicated this morning. We're working it all out still. There was a lot of clubs to get through in that last question. Official BOTN on social media.
It's complicated, but I think you can tell by the smug look on Tony's face.
I think even before the last question, I think we know who's won this. So in joint 3rd place is Mick and Joe with 4. In 2nd place is Luke with 6. Still staying up there.
That's all right.
And then in 1st place is Tony with, I think, was 8. However, there was a lot of teams mentioned, so it could be more.
Wow.
So
who's counting?
Well done, Tony, for winning the quiz this morning. Okay, next up we're going to speak to Rob Small, the Bowes and Pitsea manager. Very good morning to you, Rob.
Morning, everyone.
And yeah, so nice to speak to you. Thanks for coming on the show. FA Trophy Day today, but let's talk about the league first of all. You're currently 5th in the Bostik North. You must be delighted with that.
Yeah, I am delighted. I think every manager out there probably looks at the points they dropped and rues them rather than perhaps patting himself on the back at this stage of the season. But yeah, I think in the division that we're in, a small club like ours, to be to be continuing to compete this season is obviously something that we're really proud of.
And did you set yourself a goal at the beginning of the season? Because obviously last year was what was a good season. Did you set those standards again?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, look, ultimately, if we remain in the division, we've done a good job. But I think every manager's probably looks at the playoffs and thinks, someone's got to break the mould. You've got your big clubs that are going to compete for the automatic promotion, particularly with the extra slot available this year. But I think if you're not in it to try and sneak into the playoffs, I'd sort of argue, what's the point? We enter the season and endeavour to try and compete at the top and see where it gets us. But ultimately, it's a long season and it's a very tough one. So I'll sort of review that in April.
And it's a funny old season with the shift and the added teams next year and the restructure, because as you say, it kind of gives everybody, in a way, just that little bit extra hope that they can go on a run and make the playoffs.
I think that's one of the things I really enjoyed about this division last year, which is that with the playoff setup, everyone has that sort of chance where they can look over and above themselves, and equally where there's relegation places available, which at Step 5 football isn't very common. You have teams at the bottom of the league still competing, right until the very end of the season. So there's an extra spot available this year. I think it's unfortunate for us that became available the year that 3 teams were relegated from the Ryman Premier into our division, Grays, Canvey and Sudbury. So if you add them to what was already a strong division, it's it's still a tough ask even with the extra spot.
Egham Town for you in the FA Trophy today. How much do you know about the Evo Stick South side?
Yeah, so we've had them watched a couple of times. They're a strong outfit, quite direct, got some good players. Their manager had a good playing career, so I'd expect a fairly even game today. 2 well organised teams. I think we're probably in a similar boat in our divisions, in the sense of, there are bigger clubs, and we're both sort of holding our own. But we'll see. That's the beauty of these competitions. You come up against managers and players and teams that you don't know, and on the day you've got to find a way to win.
And next week we're back with the FA Cup, and we've got Leatherhead against Billericay, and not taking anything away from the FA Cup. But is the FA Cup Trophy a real opportunity, perhaps, for clubs at this level to have a chance to go to Wembley?
I think in terms of Wembley, I think for a Step 4 club, you'd be hard pushed to see a Step 4 club make Wembley in the FA Trophy. But we have had teams over the last few years that have got to the latter stages, quarterfinals, semi-finals. So I think anything is possible. What Haybridge have achieved in the FA Cup this year. Who would have backed Haybridge to make the first round? They were avoiding relegation on the last day of the season last year. So anything is possible, and that's why football's a game that we all love so much, because what should happen doesn't always happen.
We wish you the best of luck for the game today against that one. Mick Sullivan is waving at me frantically as if he's got something to add in at the end.
Well, I just want to say you didn't get a chance to come on the show when we were last down your neck of the woods. I gather that little one in the background is the reason why you weren't there that day. And what was it, a little girl, a little boy you had in there?
It was a little girl, and I didn't know if you'd be able to hear her, but I've currently got a bottle in her mouth at the moment. So multitasking on a Saturday morning between football manager and dad. But I was disappointed actually, because obviously it's a great show that you guys are doing, and it would have been a pleasure to play a part. And unfortunately, Mrs. Small just couldn't hold on any longer. So
Well, you're my adopted
she's got
team
her
from there.
priorities all wrong.
No, well done.
Listen,
Well done.
have a great day.
Thank you very
Congratulations from all of us, and enjoy the football and the parenting today.
Thanks, guys.
Rob Small, the Bowers and Pitsea manager. I was just going to say, it wasn't the FA Trophy, was it? I wrote down South Shields because we were saying about clubs that could go on a good run from this level, but was that the FA Vars that they won last year?
I think it might have been the FA Vars.
So they've now come up to the same level. But it is fair to say that the clubs at this level, you probably look at it more than the FA Cup and say, well, Tranmere Rovers last year, for example, with South Park, they went a long way. I think they won 5 or 6 games to get there.
Well, a good question would be, these guys have got a recent playing career, not too long ago. How far did you both go in this trophy?
Not very far, unfortunately. I had better runs in the FA Cup, but always knowing in the back of my mind that I would never make Wembley. You get to the first round, second round, third round. That's a big success story. For smaller clubs. Whereas in this, I've got friends that have won it. The likes of Gary Druitt, Colin Luckett, Junior Caddy. They were in a Kingstonian side that won it in 2000, I think. Jamie Stewart was in that Gray side. There are boys that I still speak to that have managed to get to Wembley this way. So this is, is it realistic? There's always a chance. Whereas the FA Cup is a little bit too far removed.
And Tony, is that part of the team talk? Is it, that this is an opportunity. If you want it, then this is possible.
I think at the early stages, as a player anyway, I remember thinking, you get through the general rounds and you try to open it up nationally. You just want to get a good weekend out of it. If I'm honest, as a player, you thought you'd like Newcastle Town away or something, or Liverpool Town, and just make a weekend of it. So I think it's a really hard one, because to be honest with you, I've done all right in the 5 years I've been a manager. I've been lucky to win the league and get a couple of promotions, but I've never ever done well in the FA competitions. And I often look at it and think, there must be something in my team talks that I maybe let off a little bit and relax too much, and it sort of maybe gets over to the player. So it is something that I definitely want to do. I'd love to get a good run. And as you say, I think in the early stages it's about building momentum. You win a couple of rounds and all of a sudden it starts to generate a little bit of interest, and then you get on a wave, and then you see these teams all of a sudden, and it becomes sort of a massive thing. So I think for us at the early stage of this round, it's still just trying to gather a little bit of momentum, and you can get through today, then you just see who's next.
Tony, can I just say something? Don't go up north and get a good job, because I would be worried one player that you got in your squad going up north would be like a loose cannon, and he's on this show later.
To be fair, I mean, unfortunately, we've actually got a couple worse than him.
So that's saying something.
Yeah,
good management, mate.
There's one or two of them. As I say, we've had a couple of team nights out, and they're always interesting.
We spoke to Malcolm Porter last year. We went up to the South Park Tranmere game, and one of the things that him and his players were saying, that for them it was that opportunity for a club at their level, that they a coach, a hotel, meal the night before, to get the real treatment of almost what big clubs get every day.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's something else that
you get that with Guernsey now, though. That's the only good thing. You just got to play Guernsey now, and we did it last year, and that worked for us.
Continuing with the FA Trophy, Aidy Gallagher, the Lowestoft Town manager, caught up with him yesterday. They, of course, have Worthing away today, and here's what he had to say. Ahead of FA Trophy weekend, it's good to catch up with you and just find out how the season's going so far.
Well, it's been tough. We didn't start too well. We played okay in some games, but didn't necessarily pick up the points we deserved. But in more recent weeks, although had a bit of an injury crisis through that time, we've brought a few young lads in, and we've been quite steady over a long period up until the weekend's defeat at Mersham. We'd put in some decent performances and picked up a few points, which is encouraging and maybe shows that there is a bit of quality in the depth of the squad.
And you mentioned that result at Merstham, and you've got young players. You said that at the beginning of the season. Is that what you have to almost accept might happen with a younger squad?
Yeah, you don't want to accept it. It's something that we need to improve on. It was just disappointing really, because we've been steady in about 5 or 6 games and hadn't looked like conceding that number of goals. It took us too long to organise ourselves on the pitch on Saturday, but Mercy were at the very best as well, who had loads of ball, and we gave them too much room, and teams like that with such good footballers in the side will really exploit that. And they were clinical as well, so it put the game beyond us. But the only thing I am pleased with the youth within the squad is the way that we actually recovered ourselves from that situation and sort of fought our way into the game. We got it back to 4-2, and I felt that we had a little degree of pressure leading up to that. We knew that the next goal was important, but unfortunately for us, most of them just nicked one on the break with about 6 or 7 minutes to go. We were trying to throw a few things at it, and then obviously took the game away from us.
You mentioned that Merstham were clinical, scoring 6 goals. But only a couple of games before that, you'd scored 5 at Burgess Hill, and before that, Burgess Hill had scored 5 themselves against Kingstonian. And you'd beaten Kingstonian as well. Is that more a reflection of the division this season?
I think what it tells you is that if you're not right on your day, then you can get badly beaten by any team. There's so many teams with enough quality in the league to hurt you. I mean, we were particularly good at Burgess Hill. I thought it was almost perfect away performance, and we were clinical in our finishing that day as well, but defended really well. I think that Merstham over the weekend will say the same about their performance, against us, I'm sure. I think if you're not quite right on your day, then you get found out by teams. And, we've certainly seen some of that over the last 2 or 3 weeks. You're right with those results. I think that what you try and get in between that is a degree of consistency with your performance. And up until this week, I felt that we'd been pretty good, but on Saturday we got a lesson really, and the result was justified in the way that we start the game.
Jake Reed scored 8 goals for you this season, matching that of Adam Cunnington at Billericay, who obviously doing pretty well, so you must be very pleased with his development this year.
Yes, he's a very good footballer in games, even though he doesn't score goals. He's really strong, he holds the ball up well. He's sometimes been asked to fight a bit of a lone battle up top on his own, and he's done that admirably this year and brought others into the game. So we're lucky to have him as a local boy, someone who wants to play for his local team. It makes a big difference to us to have someone of that quality up front. There's still elements of his game that he needs to improve on. But I think what he has done this year is being more consistent in his overall contribution to the team. I think he's a real team player. Sometimes in the past maybe he's let little bits of disappointment get to him on the pitch, and it's affected the rest of his performance. And I think what he's done this year is started to mature as a footballer, and he started to buy into the team ethic.
Now, Worthing on Saturday in the FA Trophy, Worthing are the only team that haven't got a win across all 3 divisions yet this season. In a cup game, does that have any bearing at all?
Well, of course it does. Worthing will win the game this year, in this season. There's no doubt about that. It's just a matter of time for them. Obviously, it's not easy in their position. They've been playing the games at Bognor and had a lot of games on the travels. And obviously, once you get caught in a little bit of a rut, it's hard to break that cycle. So we need to be careful Saturday. I don't think anyone should ever write them off at a cup competition. There's no fear of losing in a sense. If you win, you're through. If you lose, you're out. That's that simple. You can't get any simpler than that, really. So from our point of view, we played them once this year, but I expect to play a different side again this time. And for me personally, we played particularly well there last year. We passed the ball really well on the pitch, and I'm hoping that we can get back to some of the performances we put in before Saturday, and if not, then get to at least the level of about 50 minutes of our play on Saturday. If we can find that level, then I know that we'll be competitive within the game. But it's just important, really, not to underestimate Worthing. They're in a difficult position. I know what it's like to be in that position. How hard everyone has to work for each other to try and turn it around. And we'll give them the utmost respect on Saturday, because we know it'll be difficult opposition.
For all the best coverage from across the Bostik Leagues, visit backofthenetsouth.co.uk.
Yeah, it was a nice long chat with Adi Gallagher from Lowestoft Town. I think we're up for dinner next. So it was a good conversation as well, Mick. And one of the things I mentioned to him, we were there when we were there when Burgess Hill Town won 5-0 against Kingstonian. Then they went and beat Burgess Hill 5-0, and then they lost 6-2 to Merstham. And I said to him in the interview that epitomises what this season's like almost.
Well, if you remember, we were at Lowestoft. Who did they play when we were at Lowestoft?
Worthing, wasn't it? Worthing they played, yeah.
I mean, to be fair, I thought that they weren't as ambitious as what a club of that stature should be. I think Ady was sort of suggesting whether he was playing himself down for this coming season, but it didn't look like there's. Obviously, they've lost their chairman just at recent times, haven't they? So they're a bigger club in a bit of a decline. So they need to something like this might vamp it up for them to sort of, interest a new chairman that's got money that might come in. But they're a big sort of club up there that can attract big crowds, because I remember them getting to the Vars final when I particularly done well that year, and they took 15,000 to Wembley, which is absolutely fantastic for that sort of club. I think it was against a two twin barrel type name from up Blackpool way that they played in the final. But it just showed you what a big club Lowestoft are, and I just think they're sort of like they're not meeting the requirements I would expect a club of that stature at the minute.
You did mention that they have a young team. Jake Reed obviously scored eight goals for them so far. Worthing not having the best of seasons. They did reach the second round proper of the FA Trophy last year, secured that replay with Sutton United after a 2-2 draw. Eventually went on to lose that game. So it'll be a difficult test for them today away at Worthing.
It's at Worthing, is it? I think Worthing are a different prospect now under their new management, and they're back at their home ground. I fancy, look, we like AD as a manager and a guy, but I fancy Worthing might just actually get there. Have they won yet? I don't think they've actually won a game yet. I think they could get their first win today.
Brings us on nicely to having a look at the football across this weekend and some of the key fixtures today. Billericay Town taking on Tooting and Mitcham. Billericay have performed exceptionally in the Bostik Premier so far this season. They're sitting in third despite playing just 10 games, which is 5 games short of two of their rivals, Hendon and Dulwich. On paper, it looks like an easy win for the host, but Frank Wilson's side in the penultimate position of the table at the moment. However, when they went to Billericay last time in the league, Tooting and Mitcham, they held them to, I think it was the very last minute, and also they've won 3 of their last 4 games. A decent run of form. So what do you think to this one? I mean, it's difficult to look at this and say it will just be a Billericay win.
Well, I ain't going to say anything because we know Frank so well on this show. I'll let Joe sort of say he's an ex-Tooting man. Let him have a say on it.
I've spoken to Frank on it. I don't know him particularly well, but I've spoken to him when I joined Tony's staff, just to introduce myself, and he seems like a really lovely fella first and foremost, and he seems like somebody that puts his heart and soul into it. I noticed they've turned things around more recently. They've had 3 good results on the bounce. I think they've turned a corner. I genuinely think they've turned a corner, and I think that anybody going to Billericay, it's a cup final, because all of the sort of the fanfare that goes with Billericay at the moment, it's great for our level first and foremost. It's fantastic what they're doing, and they've obviously got an owner that's putting his money where his mouth is. So it's absolutely brilliant, but it does put you up there to be shot down. So it should be an interesting game.
I think also he's changed some of his staff around. I've noticed he's got another coach. Is it Nursey from Met Police?
Yeah, he's brought
so there's
Nursey.
Another coach. I mean, perhaps we should have a little chat with Frankie Boy next week.
Interestingly as well, and I'll get your thoughts on this, Billericay are playing, obviously they're playing Leatherhead next Sunday in the FA Cup. Now Leatherhead have chosen not to play a game on Tuesday because they get the option before the FA Cup. The league give them that choice. Billericay are playing their fixture, and I think it's the worry that they're already 5 games behind in the league. Could that be working perhaps Tooting and Mitcham's favour today, the fact that Billericay are involved in so many other things and going for promotion?
Potentially. I mean, for Billericay, let's be honest, I would imagine that their aim for the season would be to get promoted, because the amount of investment that's going into that club, in terms of infrastructure and playing staff, they can't really. I mean, the guy looks like he's got a reasonable amount of money that he's sitting on at the moment, so he's not going to go short. But let's face it, they need to progress in terms of levels. So being 5 games behind at this stage in the league, at the moment is all well and good. But come the end of the season, when you're playing 4 games in a week, your squad will be thin, and it'll be a difficult task for them. So I would imagine they want to get their games up and out of the way as quickly as possible, and that might even things up.
And Tony, for Billericay, I guess they like you were saying, Joe, they can't really afford not to get promoted this year. It'd be a real setback for them, wouldn't it?
Me personally, I don't think it'll be a problem for Billericay. If you look at, they've got a squad like an American football team. I mean, they must have 40 players there, so that ain't going to be a problem. They'll just shuffle it for different competitions. They've got so much depth. If you look at the boys that are not even getting in their squad on match days, they probably have 5 or 6 sitting in the stand. So I think they'll be fine. I think they can fight on all fronts. So I don't see it being a problem. On the Tooting and Mitcham thing, obviously I got promoted with VCD from the North into the Prem, and up to Christmas I think we had 11 points, and then the second half with the same set of players we got 48 points. It just takes time to adjust to that level of football. It is different. So I think all you're seeing now is Tooting are probably just slightly adjusting little things on the training pitch. The players will realise it's a big step up. So I'm not surprised that they're starting to turn around and say he's a good young manager and they've got some good players. So it will be a good game. But if he was a better man, me personally, I'd go with Billericay on that one.
Be interesting to see how that result pans out a little bit later in the FA Trophy. Corinthian Casuals taking on Hertford Town. Both Corinthian Casuals and Hertford Town have made an impressive start to the season. Casuals 4th in the Bostik South and Hertford 7th in Bostik North. The latter suffered a heavy 6-0 defeat to Heybridge Swifts in the league a couple of weeks ago, but the side made up for it with the goal deficit with a 4-0 win over Brentwood Town on Saturday and a 3-2 victory, courtesy of a 90th minute winner against Whittam Town on Tuesday night. Likewise, the Casuals have won their last 2 games. You know quite a bit about Corinthian Casuals, Mick. They will be up for this FA Trophy game?
Yeah, of course I would. Obviously I know James quite well. I know a fair few of the players. And, I mean, that type of trophy, Corinthians, and, they want to have a cup run like most people. And I think these teams that are looking for playoffs can afford to have a run in one cup. I think if they sort of get bogged down with FA Cup, FA Trophy, then the Velocity Trophy and all that, it gets too much. But I think they can sort of have a run in one of the ones. Perhaps they're out of the FA Cup, aren't they, Corinthians? So maybe the trophy is what they're going to aim at and have a little go. But they've got good players. But Hertford obviously have adjusted quite well from coming up from Step 5 into Step 4 football. And it'll be interesting. Are we going to Hertford sometime this coming season? It'd be interesting, yeah. I mean, they're an unknown team for me, but they're in a good catchment area there, so I would have thought that's a reasonable sized club for that type of area. So resources they might well have there.
Sittingbourne against Merstham in the FA Trophy as well. These two sides met earlier in the month in the Velocity Trophy. David Smith scoring in the 20th minute to give Sittingbourne the victory. Since then, the Brickies have enjoyed a 4-0 victory over Shoreham in the league and secured a 1-1 draw against Chipstead, equalising in the 90th minute after playing almost the whole game with 10 men. The side also played with 10 men on Tuesday night, drawing 0-0 with Cray. Merstham may be a bit deflated after a 4-0 loss to Dulwich, but they soon made up for that with a mixed bag. Lowestoft Town 6-2 last Saturday, so interesting week for Merstham. Where's this one going to go?
I will throw it over to these two in a minute regarding Sittingbourne, because I don't know if they've played them yet or they've got to play them.
We played them on Tuesday.
Right. Well,
we played Corinthian Casuals literally 2 weeks ago. Yeah. So.
Well, you're going to be interested to see what you say, but from Merstham's perspective, obviously Aiden ain't going to want to go down there again. In 3 weeks ago, losing 1-0 and going down there again. So I fancy Merstham might just nick this one and go on a little trophy run. And I'm sorry, Nick, but they're not conceding many goals, are they, Sittingbourne? They've obviously got a fantastic sort of defensive
side.
So yeah, let's listen what you think about both those teams. Interesting.
I think Corinthian Casual played here, but we beat them 4-2 down here. Really good game. I said it before the game to the players. We worked on it. From broken play, they're the best in the league. So if you're loose, they'll counter-attack you really quick. They're as good as I've seen. So they need to be careful with that. As I say, if you go at them too much, they almost want you to do that. They'll pick you off. We did it here for 60 minutes and was 4-0 up, and we stayed tight. And then the moment we went for the kill, they went bang bang, and all of a sudden the last 15 minutes they're coming at us. So they switch really, really quick, and when they get their towels up, they've got pace coming from everywhere. Yeah. Sittingbourne are a very young side, very energetic. Will go for 90 minutes. Will come at you for 90 minutes. Defend.
Brave,
very
organised.
Good defending. They put their body in the line. I know the manager Nick Davies. I know you know him quite well. He was a centre half himself, lovely guy. So he's got them very well drilled defensively. So it'll be a good test for Mersham.
Some really interesting FA Trophy fixtures today, and that brings us on nicely to Mick versus the manager, and we've got 4 more, and this time points up for grabs in this little competition that we play, and Remy got some good fixtures for us.
Before we start, Remy, who's bottom of the table? Who's bottom?
Do you really want me to say?
Please, just say who's bottom.
Okay, bottom is Richard Wilkins.
Thank you.
However,
say
joint
no
bottom,
more. Say no more.
Joint 10th place is Frank Wilson, Mick Sullivan and Richard Wilkins, who have all got 0 points. Mick with the advantage. If you just get 1 point today, you'll go up into 10th place.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
Okay, so our first game is Worthing versus Lowestoft. So Worthing are the only Bostik team across all 3 divisions yet to win a league game. However, the Mackerel men enjoyed a midweek victory in the County Cup where they defeated Lancing 5-0. A Ben Pope hat-trick and 2 from Kieran Pammett ensured an emphatic first win of the season. As for Lowestoft, they are currently 17th in the Premier Division, taking 16 points out of 13 games. Their recent results have been mixed. As we heard earlier from Eddie Gallagher, they've enjoyed a 5-0 win over Burgess Hill Town. However, they took a 6-2 thrashing against Merstham last weekend. However, one consistent thing for the club is Jake Reid, who has scored 8 league goals for Lowestoft, a tally which matches Billericay Town's Adam Cunnington.
A decisive 2-1 win for Worthing.
Ooh. Better in the cup competitions than league.
Go on, see, what are you going for, mate?
You two are you going to join together? You got it. It goes under your name. It's going under your name.
Take the plaudits.
I can't play 2 of you this week.
I think what? You think what?
Desmond, 2-2.
Do you think it'd be a draw?
I think Worthing will go in front, and then, but when you forget about winning, do you know that one? And you drop deep, nick at the end, replay, losing a replay.
It's like a secret team talk that we get to listen into. When the manager and assistant can just decide what's going on.
It's what we usually do. We have a good discussion.
This is exactly how it works.
It's a good insight to the club.
No, go for it. Yeah, I'm not uncomfortable with that. I don't think Worthing are a bad side.
I think Worthing will be winning, and then they'll get pegged back because they'll want to win, go deep, get picked
and
off.
Obviously, Popey scored in the week. I think he's a very good player, centre forward. So there's more goals there.
I mean, this is really in depth. I mean, it's so far on the show.
Go Worthing 2-1.
Worthing 2-1.
Oh, you're copying me, are you?
I'll go Worthing 3-1 to mix it up.
Okay, our next game is Harrow Borough versus Haringey Borough. So Harrow Borough are currently 9th in the Premier Division with 21 points after 14 games. In recent games, they had back-to-back wins against Wingate and Finchley and Kingstonian, followed by back-to-back defeats Harlow Town and Brightlingsea Regent. The host Haringey Borough, who compete in the division below, are currently 5th. As they are undefeated in the league with 8 wins and 3 draws. Midweek they played Grays Athletic, 2-0 down to Grays Athletic at half-time, however drew 3-3. A Ralston Gabriel hat-trick, 2 goals coming in the 87th and 90th minute. Borough recently made club history, reaching the FA Cup 4th round qualifier, but they were defeated 4-2 by Haybridge Swifts, who of course play Exeter next weekend.
Let's give you guys the chance to go first.
I watched Harrow Borough. Lively pace going forward. I don't know.
I fancy Haringey.
I fancy Haringey because I think they're
fast and loose.
Yeah, well, as my man said, they're exactly that. They're counter attack. They're set up for it. The way they set up.
What do you reckon?
I'm going
2-0.
2-0. Yeah, 2-0. 2-0.
Mick?
I'm going to be a bit careful because I think Steve's on next and he live, so I'm going to be careful what I might predict. But I fancy, obviously, Tony's got a great side at Haringey. We've watched them a couple of times and they've got people who can go forward and score. And you're right, they play very energetically, don't they? And loose, like what you might say. Obviously, I haven't seen Steve's side this year, but they're always hard working what he's got there, and so that's what makes me think they're very similar-ish type of teams playing in different divisions. So I'm going to go, is Harrow at home?
Harrow are at home.
Yeah, I say 2-2 draw because there definitely will be goals in it.
Okay, our next game is Staines Town versus Margate. So Staines are currently 6th in the Premier Division despite netting more goals than any other team with 33. The Swans are unbeaten in 4 league games in which they've scored 13 times. Mohammed Bettimer and Elliot Buchanan occupy 2nd and 3rd in the goal scorers table with a combined total of 21, just one short of Nico Muir of Hendon, who has scored 12. Margate position 14th after collecting 17 points in 12 games. With the distraction of the FA Cup, they are yet to win a league game in 4. Their last win instantly coming when they defeated Leatherhead 2-0 at the end of September, who knocked them out of the FA Cup 2-1 last week, 2 weekends ago at Hartsdown Park. So it's Staines Town at home to Margate.
Mick, we'll let you go first this time.
Yeah, I think Steve's a bit down on the ground with the Margate team at the minute, and they had so many expectations 3 weeks ago. They sort of the wheels have come off a little bit, so it makes me think they're going to go there with a determined attitude to pick something up, and it is a cup game as opposed to a league game. So I fancy, even though betting against Staines is a difficult thing with the way they are at the minute. Oh, I want to win. I want to get the top of this league. So 2-1 Margate. I'm going to go for Steve Watts. 2-1 Margate.
Okay.
I fancy Staines. I know they hate me down Margate as one of my old clubs, but
yeah, I'm with you.
I fancy Staines. I think they've been. I like that Buchanan. I think he's a very good player. There's goals there, and I think that more recently, Margate have not been at their best. Scoreline.
I think it'll be quite a high scoring affair, that one, because I don't think they'll deal with Margate's hype up front. I'm thinking 4-2. Don't know why. I'm thinking a thriller. Just of course.
What's to lose?
What's to lose? We're only here 1 week.
What
are they going to do? What's the worst they're going to do? That's the worst they're going to do.
Everybody's getting their...
We're going to go 4-2.
Everyone's got their money's worth.
Nothing you can do about it.
In-depth predictions.
There is nothing you can do about it.
That's what we're here for.
That's it.
Last fixture.
We're deep thinkers.
And our final game is Bowers and Pitsea versus Egham Town. Bowers and Pitsea are currently 4th in the Bostik North, collecting 28 points in 15 games. In midweek, they won 4-2 after Ware's early goal saw the home side on top for just 4 minutes. In the preliminary round of this competition, Pitsea also swept 4 in goal, knocking out Durham Town 4-1. Egham Town slipped from 7th to 9th in the Evo Stick South East midweek after they were defeated 2-0 by Moneyfields. They do, however, have one of the best forms in the division with 5 wins in 10. However, in their recent 5, they have lost twice and drawn twice. So Bowers and Pitsea are hosting Egham Town.
Your last in-depth prediction today?
Bowers and Pitsea, good side. I played against them last year.
I watched him actually against Harrogate Borough in the FA Cup when the early rounds had beat him.
I
just like Egham. It's a good
game. We covered it. Did you watch it on our highlights?
No, I was at the game. We had a
right,
I was at the game. I think we had a game on a Sunday, or didn't have a game or something. So I went and watched it because I was looking at a Harrogate player. Didn't get him.
We did see them in the league, not in the FA Cup, but they did play each other. Yeah.
Okay.
I like Egham as a name. I think it's quite a good name. So
decision made.
We're going to go with Egham, but we just got to work out the score.
You're going with your gut. Yeah. Just
Score prediction.
Purely instinctive.
I'm going to go for a 2-0 Egham win.
Mick?
Well, that guy you got on the phone here is an old Egham manager, I think, Steve. So, no, as I say, I'm a Bowers and Pitsea supporter this season because they treated us so well down there, the guys that hosted when Rob wasn't there, and I feel that they'll win 2-0.
Okay.
There you go, there's the predictions for today. And as you say, we do have Steve Baker on the phone, the Harrow Borough manager. Very good afternoon to you, Steve.
Good afternoon. How are we doing, gents? All right?
Yeah, good. Thanks for taking the time out to come and speak to us ahead of a busy afternoon. I don't know if you heard them, but both of our guests and Mick Sullivan went for a Harringay result. So I just did you go for Harringay?
No, if you don't mind. 2-2, I said, wasn't it? A draw, I said.
Yeah, Mick said 2-2. So yeah, difficult game this afternoon. Obviously, we saw Harringay in their FA Cup game against Heybridge. They've done well this season, so it's going to be a tough test for you.
Yeah, without doubt. I mean, Luke said before he put me on that none of you boys fancied us, so thanks for that.
Cheers,
Luke. No, it's one I spoke about in the week, and I'm not just saying this because we're playing them. I think it's the hardest probably one of the hardest draws we could have got. I think it's certainly the hardest draw from a side from the step below we could have got.
Okay.
And I actually think it's probably more of a difficult tie than maybe one or two sides in our own league. I mean, their record this year is phenomenal. I think, including their cup games, they've played 17, they've lost one, drawn 3 and won the rest. They're scoring goals for fun at the moment, and we've watched them 2 or 3 times, and they're a really, really good side. We worked on a few things in the week based on watching them over the last week or so, and the one thing we'll have to be today, I mean, I know it's a little bit of a cliche, but when you play teams from the level below, you've got to match their work rate, your attitude's got to be spot on, then you hope that maybe that additional ability at the level we're at might be enough to take us across the line. But it's going to be one of the hardest tests that we've had today, and we're going to have to be on it 100% to give ourselves a chance.
And you mentioned, obviously, it's going to be a difficult test for you, but you're currently 7th in the Premier Division, 21 points from 14 games. It's been a good start to the season. So they presumably will be feeling the same way.
Yeah, I think they would, but I think when you're the not lower side, I don't like to say that, but when you're the side from the league below, you're coming there, there's no pressure on you, you've got nothing to fear, and if anything, I think that gives you a little bit of incentive to go out and prove yourself, and you might have one or two lads there that maybe want to get on, want to jump to the higher level, and that's what you say to your players, go out and put yourself on show. So I think sometimes it's much easier being in their shoes, because there's no pressure, and all right, you've got your own expectation in-house, but there's certainly no pressure on them today. All the pressure will lie on our side, but we have to make sure we deal with that and make sure we get the result out of it.
Steve, it's Mick Sullivan here. Just want to ask a quick question. How are you, mate? All right?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, mate.
Good.
You okay?
Yeah, thank you. Just want to ask a question. What's the biggest difference? Obviously, because a lot of people will obviously just say all the right things and wrong things about, but people weren't expecting Harrow Borough to be up in the top element of the Bostik Prem this year. What's the biggest thing, would you say, or that you've changed from last season to this season that's brought you the success?
Simple one, Mick. Players. I released 14 players at the end of last season, and we only retained 4 from last year's squad, and 2 of those didn't kick a ball in the last 6 months. So effectively, we retained 2 players from last year's squad. There was 1 or 2 that we released that were good for me last year, and I wouldn't knock them at all. But I look at after the FA Cup run last year, and we were in a fairly safe league position at the time. In the last 2 months of the season, I've been blatantly honest about it before, the majority of the squad were an absolute disgrace. The attitude was poor, people were on holiday, people were allegedly unwell, people's performances dropped, and I felt that we showed a real lack of backbone when it comes to the last 6 or 7 games when the pressure was on. We only needed 1 win out of the last 6 or 7 games, and we got through a period that if it could go wrong, it went wrong. I had players throwing holidays onto me the day before games. This was after the transfer deadline, and we couldn't do anything with it. So we ended up in the last sort of 6 to 8 weeks with a group, for me, that didn't want to be there. And I'll hold my hands up for that. I'd already spoke about making a lot of changes towards the end of the season, but didn't feel at the time we needed to make 7 or 8 coming towards the end of the season. And with the budget we work with, if you're going to move players out that are on 70, 80 quid a week, you've got to replace them, which is, as you know, it's difficult to do. So I went with my gut feeling and trusted what I had, and that let us down. So we had massive change through the summer. I only had 4 players signed on at one stage, which was a gamble. But so far it's been a gamble that's worked quite well, and we've got together a group now, for me, that are hungry. We've got a couple of experienced players that have been there and done that. We've got a few from the levels below that want to jump up, and we've got 3 or 4 that want to maybe try and get back into the pro game. So I think that combined and the work ethic and team spirit they've got at the minute, that's put us where we need to be. But we certainly won't rest on our laurels on that one. You know what this league's like. 1 minute you could be 3 points off a playoff spot, the next minute, 2 weeks later, you're 3 points off a relegation spot. So it's early days, but overall we're quite pleased with it so far.
What can you achieve this season? What can you go on to do?
I think behind closed doors, every manager says to their group, unless you're a Billy Ricky, who for me will come on and walk the league, everyone says, can we make the playoffs? Can we make the playoffs? And that's really the target that we've set out early doors. But it's more about, realistically, obviously we're a massive improvement on last year. Harrow for a long, long time now struggled in and around the bottom of the table, and we want to get away from that because it's not enjoyable. It's hard work as a manager, and then it becomes hard trying to get new players in. But I think with the squad we got at the moment, we still need to add a couple, and I'm working on 2 at the minute. I think if one of them comes off after the weekend, it will be one of the best signings we've made in my time now, and I'm hopeful that will come off. But I think if we can add the couple and keep the core that we've got, who knows? But it's making sure that we're in and around it after Christmas, and then you put yourself in a position to maybe do that. But that's really the aim of the team at the moment, to get as close to those playoff positions as possible, with maybe a couple of months to go, and we'll see from there.
You don't want to give us a name for that signing, do you?
No, I certainly don't. Because if I give you a name, he won't sign.
So, last question from us. FA Trophy today. Where does that rank on the priorities this season?
Oh yeah. It's definitely up there. I mean, you sit down probably like every manager does at the start of the year with the players, and you set out your targets and what's the priority. Obviously, league's always number one, and then the next 2 are FA Cup and FA Trophy. FA Cup last year had a great one. This year we went out first round away to Enfield, which was disappointing, and so the next one is the trophy to try and target. One, for a couple of reasons. Financially, again, it's great for clubs like ourselves. If we can get through 2 or 3 rounds like we did last year, we earned some good money. And it's a great opportunity for players to put themselves out on show, and who knows, you come through, you get through a couple of rounds, you never know where that might take you. You know, back a couple of years, Bogner made the semi-finals. I'm not saying for 1 minute we're going to do that, but if you get on a good run and you get decent draws and you have a little bit of luck along the way, you never know. But listen, we've got a massive hurdle to overcome before we start looking at anything else, and that's the main focus for today. If we can get over that hurdle and get ourselves in the hat for Monday.
Steve, thanks ever so much for speaking to us. Best of luck with today, and also new signing. We'll keep an eye out for that early next week.
Cheers, guys, and hopefully I'll prove all of your predictions wrong today.
I'll give you a draw, mate, anyway.
Cheers,
yeah, thanks ever so much. Steve Baker, the Harrow Borough manager. Plenty more to come on the show between now and 1 o'clock. We're going to speak to Tony Reid, the Westfield manager. They're doing pretty well so far this season. Aaron Rule, Cray Wanderers player, and also 3 more Bostik managers to come between now and 1 o'clock.
You're listening to Back of the Net, powered by Promote UK. We're really good at what we do.
Times are changing. We now live in a digital world where 9 out of 10 people use the internet to look for local goods and services. Whether in front of a computer at home or on a mobile phone on the go, people expect to find what they want, when they want, quickly and easily. The question is, can your business be found? At Promote UK, we specialise in getting local businesses found online. One highly affordable package will give your business a stunning mobile responsive website, which we guarantee to get to the first page of Google and keep it there. And we take care of everything: copywriting, design, hosting. We even offer unlimited amends all year round for no extra charge. So, whilst you're busy focusing on your business, we're busy making sure it can be found online all year round. Start your Google Page One journey today with a free online health check by visiting PromoteUKLimited.com. Promote UK. We're really good at what we do.
Are you looking for a little bit more than a good meal at a pub? The Half Moon is a hidden gem located in the picturesque village of Charlwood on the Surrey-Sussex borders. Proud of old traditions, this old English pub offers tasty fresh food with locally sourced ingredients, comfortable dining and traditional bar area, as well as a lovely garden for your enjoyment. Evening with friends or lunch with family, whatever the occasion, you can expect our friendly and welcoming staff to help. Half Moon Charlwood. Check out our Facebook page for upcoming events and live music.
Need to refuel? Whether you're heading home or away, get ahead of the game and refuel at Dorking's Service Centre. Dorking's local retailer of quality BP fuel, Costa coffee and food to go. Find us at the traffic lights close to Dorking Halls or at dorkingservicecentre.com.
From Premiership to Playground, MH Goals has everything you need for an outstanding football match, including aluminium and steel football goals, nets, line marking machines, team shelters, boot wipers and much more. Buy with confidence direct from the manufacturer with great prices available across our whole range of sports equipment. What's more, we offer fantastic discounts for all FA affiliated clubs. We pride ourselves on British manufacturing. We make all our football goals here in the UK and conform to the latest British and European safety standards. So call MH Goals direct on 01502 711 298 or visit our online store at mhgoals.com.
Head to backofthenet.south.co.uk tomorrow morning for video highlights and full match reaction of today's games. Back to your favourite non-league football show, powered by Promote UK. We're really good at what we do. Back of the net, where it matters.
So welcome back to the show this afternoon. We're delighted to be at Bromley Football Club, the current home of Cray Wanderers, and Tony Russell, the manager, and Joe Vines, the assistant manager, have joined us for the show today. And we're also going to be speaking a little bit later on to Gary Hillman, your chairman, all about the new ground and where that's going to take you as a club. Right now we're going to turn our attentions to combined counties football, though, and say a very good afternoon to Tony Reid, the Westfield manager. Hello, Tony. How you doing, Tony? You all right? Is Tony there? We did have Tony on. We've lost him. We'll get him back on the phone. We'll get Luke to sort that out. Not sure where he's gone. But before he comes on, Mick, Westfield obviously they're top of the combined counties league, looking for promotion as well.
Definitely. When I watched them a couple of weeks ago when I was at Loose End on a Tuesday night, and they went and played Walton Ersham, which were another team, obviously, that these guys might remember from the Bostik League, and they obviously want to rebound back and get where they should be. And Westfield turned them over, and quite convincingly, and he's got a good group of players down there that have got good Bostik League experience, hence why they're doing so well in the combined counties at the minute. And Tony being Tony, he don't suffer fools too easily. So we would have them right at it.
And we can now say a very good afternoon to Tony Reid. Tony?
Hello.
Oh yeah, thanks ever so much for joining us on the phone on the show. Great season so far, you must be absolutely delighted. Are you there, Tony? We're having a little bit of trouble. Tony, you still there? I'm not sure. I think we're having a bit of trouble. We did get a hello. So what we'll do is we'll talk about we'll talk about Westfield for him. You know the club well, so you know the direction that they're heading under his guidance.
Well, obviously, you know, I'm a combined counties sort of fan. Step 5. Obviously, I don't think you two have ever ventured down that low to Step 5.
Kent League.
That's
why I started it.
So you have. So that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
So you know how difficult it is for these clubs to sort of bring themselves up to Bostik League level. But have either of you been to Westfield at all? It's
shopping. Yeah, shopping.
Well, it's a little ground right opposite Woking Football Club. So you've probably been to Woking, but it's right opposite Woking Football Club, and it's got they were just one old shack stuck in the end of a sort of little recreation ground. They have built this fantastic sort of purpose-built bow. Oh, right, have we got Tony Reid?
Yeah, not that I wanted to interrupt you.
No.
Was he describing the shopping centre there?
No, he was describing the new stand.
Tony is back on with us now. Tony, very good afternoon to you.
Very good afternoon to you all.
We're just talking about how well your season's going. You must be absolutely delighted.
Happy to a certain extent, yeah. So I'm a little bit chuffed.
Don't play it down, Tony. We want you to big your club up, mate. Look, I've got a guy next to me here, sitting next to me there, who's probably kicked you up in the air a few times when you were playing centre forward for Kingstonian. So we've got Joe Vines here today as the assistant manager of Grays. Cray, I'll get it right. Joe Vines? You know Joe, do you?
Joe Vines, yeah.
Yeah, he's kicked you up in the air a few times, has he not?
Yeah, I remember that game. I think I was playing for Lewis and it was at Bromley. Yeah, I've gone past him and he started to rattle me. I think he hurt himself more. He done more damage to himself than me, that's for sure.
The thing is, really, over the years, mate, I think when we talk about clubs, we're talking about nightclubs rather than football clubs, aren't we? So we're trying to play that down as much as we can, mate.
Right, banter over. We'll let you talk. But I've got to take my hat off to you, Tone. You've done a fantastic job at Westfield this year. That's why we wanted to bring you onto the show. I think that club deserves some recognition, and I'm rather hoping that you're going to tell us what the plans are and whether you've got the stadium to be able to go up first and foremost. There's no point in you doing so well and people behind the scenes haven't got that stadium where it should be. Even though it's not a bad one, there's obviously got to be some improvements. Can you sort of confirm or non-confirm that obviously I feel that you've got a team that's going to probably win that combined counties, that you're going to go up?
Yeah, very much so. I think towards the back end of last season, we were sure that we had the capability and the facilities to upgrade and do the necessary work to go up. But as you know, the last season only one could go up. But even though we put everything in place, I think Hartley Whitney, obviously being together for the last 5 years and all credit to themselves, went and won it again, three seasons about, I believe. And I think this season they did manage to get the grade in and obviously went up. So that saying, we did have the facility and the sources to go up, and I have been assured that this season we will have that in place as well.
Well, that's really nice to hear from the Westfield perspective. I mean, just to put something else in the mix, obviously all these Bostik League clubs are looking around for good young potential managers at lower level. I mean, are you likely to be there at the end of the season to see the job through?
There's been whispers between me and a few Bostik clubs, and I am flattered, but in hindsight, I have a project in hand, and I think, if you know me of old, I've always been a loyal person to clubs as well. I've started something and I would like to finish it. Not to say that if someone of a stater came in and, offered me something ridiculous or, it's something I couldn't refuse, then it's a thought at the time, but I will cross that bridge nearer the time. But at the moment, my head's in the game with Westfield. I think I've done something there which hasn't been done there for quite a long time, and I'm quite pleased to continue my success there.
Well, Tony, it's great to recognise that success and to have you on the show this afternoon. We wish you all the best for the rest of the season. I'm sure we'll catch up before the end of the season to find out how things are going. So thanks ever so much for coming on the show.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, Tony Reid, the Westfield manager, and best of luck to them for the rest of the season. Right, we've got Aaron Rule, the Cray Wanderers player, on the line right now. Aaron, very good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, mate.
Going to be interesting to game today in the FA Trophy. What's it like for a player when you go into cup competitions like the FA Cup and the FA Trophy? Different preparation for you, different mindset?
Sort of the same preparation that it is for a league. Obviously, you're going there to do a job to get through to proceed to the next round. But obviously, when you're playing against opposition that's obviously higher than you, obviously you got to step up the game a little bit and do some of the things you normally wouldn't do in a normal game. Like obviously, you just got to make sure you take your chances, because obviously when you get high up, you can go up in the leads. They'll take their chances and they could obviously hit you 3 or 4 before you know it.
No, we could obviously. You got to be a bit careful because we've got the gaffer sitting next to us. What's the best thing about working for these two guys and playing under them?
It's that it's so professional. We're working as so professional, obviously footballers, and it's so professional. There's analytical days where we come in and we just literally watch the games. There's just people that have been around the game for a long time and know what they're talking about. Nothing worse than obviously having a manager that doesn't know what he's talking about, hasn't played the game, and he's trying to give you the insight. But these obviously guys have played the game, and they're giving us their experiences, should I say, which obviously helps us as a team and as a player.
And what do these? Have you been? I assume you've been on team night out. What do these guys dress like? Are they good dressers when they go out? Or are you going to dig them out here?
Yeah, and I haven't seen the managers, but Vines always comes around to the change room with some good crubber. So yeah, I'm not too sure about the manager Tony though, but definitely Joe brings a good bit of flavour to the dressing room, should I say?
Aaron, it's Mick Sullivan here. You're actually coming across really professional. Because I know you away from here, you're a bit of a character, hence why I wanted you to come on here. I wanted you to give a little bit more insight into these two, a little bit more stuff we want to find out about them. But what would you say you need to improve your game? And I know there's one element of your game that I feel you need to improve, and that's probably why you're not playing today.
Yes, yeah, definitely. It's just been my lack of discipline, should I say. I feel like I've got better over the years, but I've got one of them. I've got just been like a short streak. But that's probably one of the main things that I'd like to shy away. Like I've been playing week in, week out, scoring goals and assists and playing well. So it's a bit of obviously a kick in the teeth my end that I can't keep that up. Obviously by getting the silly yellow cards, silly red cards that I've been receiving. But I'm just looking to try and get past that and try and put that to one side and just work through it and just play as much as I can.
And before we let you go, Joe, I mean, he's bigged you up there. I mean, has he got a good clobber as well when he comes in?
Unique. Yeah, he's got a very unique style. Tony's right there. But I must say, he's come in. I brought him in as part of. I played with him at Thamesmead previously. He's still a young man. He's still got bundles to give. And I think he will go on to be a very, very big player for us. We spoke about the discipline, but ultimately he will learn. I didn't have the best disciplinary record as a player, but he will learn, and he's got a good head on his shoulders, and I think he's got intelligence. So he will get better as the years go by, and we're happy to have him.
Aaron, thank you ever so much for coming on and joining us on the show. Best of luck for the rest of the season as well.
All right, perfect. Cheers. Thank you much. Have a nice day. Hopefully, you get obviously into the next round as well.
Brilliant. Yeah, Aaron Rule, Cray Wanderers player. Delighted to have you on the show. And from one guest to another, we are pleased to say that Gary Hillman, the chairman of Cray Wanderers, has joined us. Afternoon, Gary.
Afternoon.
Plenty to talk to you about. We've talked about today's fixture, a little bit about the club with these guys as well. We've kind of held off on the stadium just so that we could get you in and have a bit of a chat about it. But excellent. Exciting times for the club ahead.
Yeah, very exciting times. Yeah, we've got us playing really well this season, and the sort of good things happening off the pitch is transferring to on the pitch, and it's very good times and all bubbly at the moment. Yeah.
Tell us where you're at with the stadium.
All right, where we're at with the stadium. We could really write a book about it, really. So we've actually been playing in 11 years now, believe it or not. So we've been playing in 11 years. We got it passed from London Borough of Bromley last year. Unfortunately, it was wrong place, wrong time, and Sadiq Khan pulled the plug on it. So now we've put a new application in, which is addressing all these concerns. It's actually in with Bromley at the moment, but it hasn't been validated, so there's a few just tick boxing exercises to do, and then it will hopefully be validated within the next couple of weeks, and then hopefully it's going to go to Bromley Planning Committee in January, where hopefully it'll be passed, and then down to Sadiq Khan, and hopefully, because we've ticked all these boxes that he refused it on last time, those boxes should be ticked as well. So hopefully March, April next year, we'll have planning, and then we're, as we say, ready to rock and roll, really, yeah.
And what would be the move-in date if you get what you want to?
Well, as soon as we get all the approvals, 18 months, 2 years. So realistically, it will be September or beginning of the season 2020. Really, might be 2019 if everything goes well, but 2020. Realistically 2019 everything goes well.
And it must be so difficult and frustrating having had the plans for so long. I've seen some of the designs that have appeared online. It just all looks fantastic.
Yeah, no, it might be a bit of a blessing in disguise, because every scheme that we've done, it's actually improved each time. So, and obviously we've learned along the ways of every new ground we go to. First thing I'd do is ask them what's the good bits and what's the bad bits, and taken sort of all the good bits and learnt from the bad bits from other people's new stadium developments around the country. So so it might be a blessing in disguise. It's just so frustrating where just really in the wrong area. Any other area in England, they'd be sort of really wanting it to, but we just happen to be sort of where we are, and it's very difficult in planning terms. Everything. This green belt, it's just because things have got a green belt stamp on it. Everyone who visits a site says this isn't green belt, and I said it's got a green belt stamp on it. It's got a 5-storey building on it, scaffold yards, lorry yards. Should be classified as a brownfield site, but because it's classified as green belt, it's got the same planning restrictions as your natural park down, your beautiful park down the road. So therefore you have to go through the very special circumstances argument that we've put forward.
You mentioned that it could have been a blessing because you've had a chance to look at other grounds. There's plenty being built at the moment. Is there any in particular that you took a little bit of inspiration from, or thought actually we're going to change our plans?
Yeah, well, I really sort of like the Dartford set up with the walk around up the top of the grounds and then walk down, go down. I think that's a really sort of good, really good feature, and obviously we put that feature into and new plans.
And Tony, is that part of when you're recruiting players? And I guess this is a question for all of you. The fact that the ground still has a few hurdles to go through, is it a case of having to say to players, look, this is where we're going, this is what we are going to get, come on board for now, and this is the journey that we hope to take?
To me, I mean, as much as it's been a bit up and down, I've never come off what belief that we'll get the ground. I've always felt we'll get the ground. So when I'm trying to sign a player, it's always with the ground in that, and that's been going on for 3 years. We will get the ground. I've got no doubt whatsoever in my mind, because I just know the three owners, the determination. I know they'll just keep going until they get it. So I have full belief in them, and obviously for me, it's why I came here in the first place. And it's why I want players to come here, because I genuinely think that once we do get the ground, we'll be a real force in non-league football. I honestly believe that.
It's a really interesting topic at the moment with so many teams moving to new grounds. Tell us a little bit about how it changes the revenue of a football club to be able to perhaps have lots of things going on at a ground.
Yeah, well, it's just massive where we're sitting at the moment in Bromley. Bromley Football Club, this function facility. I sort of designed and built this a long time ago for Bromley. It's part of our initial sort of ground share agreement where that I'd said I'd sort of design this and do some of the building works and stuff like that. And obviously this has been a massive input for Bromley, having all the functions here and everything. And you've seen what Bromley have done over the last 10 years really, the way they moved up the ladder. Same with Maidstone, Dartford. We was all together playing in the same leagues. Maidstone, Dartford, us, and even Bromley at one stage where we was all in the same leagues, and they've all sort of moved on because they got this income off the pitch and everything. And then so that is the inspiration, and so you get it right, and you can go all the way like Bromley are sort of proving at the moment.
We talked a lot on the show as well over the last few weeks about the 3G pitch, and what that can bring. And for us personally, we covered a little bit of Sutton last year, and it was fascinating before those games against the likes of Leeds and Arsenal, where they would still have academies and clubs training because they could. That extra source of income as well would really help.
Yeah, I must admit, when Maidstone first said they was going to put a 3G pitch in, I was like, "What you doing?" sort of scenario. What are you doing? But I think the age group we're at, we're the old school where we think about 3G. The QPRs and the nightmares originally, which has scarred that. Scarred maybe the older generation, but all the new young generation, they would like playing in it because it's sort of, it's just improving all the time. And we was over the moon when Bromley said they was the pitch at Bromley last year wasn't the best. When they said they was going to put 3G in, we knew that because the type of football Tony plays that would help us, and it's proven the case. And say the income is just another, so it's a win-win-win all the way around basically. So, and I say because of the delay again with 3G we're putting down, will be sort of obviously the best and up to date as well. So it'll be the best one of the lot, yeah.
And as a management team, 3G surfaces so common now, you don't have any problem with adjusting and playing on them. What benefits does it bring to a team?
It allows us to train when we need to train. We can start to be, I talk a lot about predictability. I like everything to be predictable, and that is, we've got regular training spots. We can set the boys up. We can make sure they're very organised. As well as the fact, the additional revenue that brings into the club is obviously helpful. It allows you to have your junior teams involved. All of a sudden, you're building for the future. Having that right infrastructure around the club is massive. Especially for non-league teams when the people walking through the gate at times isn't huge. This allows you to start to build that as well.
I think from a manager's perspective, being here last year, the pitch was really good, and at home form, I think we won something like 90% of the games at home before Christmas, and then after Christmas we won 11%. the pitch goes from really, really good to a mud bath to a dust bowl at the end of the season. So you're constantly having to change your style of play and players as well. If you want to play football, you go for the technical, generally small ones, and then all of a sudden you have to bring in big lumps, and we had to change our formation. So it just allows us to be consistent in what we're trying to do for the whole season. We know what we're going to get at home from now to the end of the season, and that's important for us.
Can I just step in there? Obviously, we've had this debate with Hayden a few weeks ago. I mean, that's consistent when you're playing on a 3G, but when you're playing away in mid sort of December or January, that style of football and that service ain't going to be there. So how do you adapt to
that? My boots back on, don't I?
What I'd say is this, it's that when you play at home, it should be an advantage to you.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're a football inside and the pitch ain't no good, it's not an advantage to us. So last year it wasn't an advantage to us. So this year we've got an advantage because of the way we play. Well, away from home, if you look at our results, we've drawn 0-0 3 times because we changed the personnel we put in. We're a little bit more robust and we're a little bit more harder to beat away from home. Where we look at it, if you can win your home games and draw your away games, you'll be there and thereabouts.
So that's the B plan as such?
Allegedly.
What do you think of the football leagues obviously not in allowing these pitches in? Or is it a case of if you get promoted from the National League, and I'm sure you'd love to have that one day, you have to readjust again, and perhaps the finances then maybe allows you to do different things with your pitch and keep it in a better order? Is that the case, or should it be allowed in Football League?
Well, I'd say it's a good problem to have, like Bromley are at the moment. Like they've just put the 3G down and they're sort of riding high, so it's a good problem to have at the end of the season. When Maidstone first put theirs down, no one said it was going to happen in the conference, and the conference was very strict on it. It's been allowed in the conference now. I think it's just becoming more and more acceptable. Football League, I think it will eventually go into the Football League. You're playing England are playing World Cup qualifiers and international matches on it. It's a bit of a Champions League games. It's a bit of a sort of joke, really, where it's not allowed into the lower leagues of the Football League. But I say it's a good problem to have, and it's a good problem to have.
Interesting point that was made on a few shows ago was the likes of Sutton, perhaps, that are up there at the moment challenging for promotion. If they did go up, would they ground share with somebody else rather than rip their 3G up because of the revenue that brings in? Wouldn't make sense.
I'd say it's a good problem to have, and it's because you get relegated now. I don't know. I only found out the other day if you're there and you don't accept going up, you get relegated a division. So.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. Apparently, well, I was told the other day if you refuse to go up, you get relegated. So you could win the conference and you get relegated.
Are you already in for a deal and accepting the 3G service from here to your new ground, possibly, if they have to rip it up?
Freebie.
Yeah.
Freebie, yeah. It's an idea.
Listen, guys, thanks ever so much for coming on and talking to us about the ground and obviously about the club. Wish you best of luck for the game later today. Can't wait to watch that. And of course, it's going to be the highlight show for the Bostik League show tomorrow. And I'm sure we'll speak to you again about the developments on the ground, and hopefully you get that seal of approval.
Yeah. So once we haven't sort of gone out singing and dancing yet because we haven't got it validated. So as soon as it's validated, we want to obviously get everyone supporting the application to put the pressure on. Everyone just support the application. So when it is validated, it'd be good to do another. We'll be in touch. We'll be knocking on your door.
Brilliant. Well, thanks again for coming on, guys. We'll let you get on with your preparations for this afternoon. Plenty more to come on the show. We hear from 3 more Bostik managers between now and 1 o'clock.
You're listening to Back of the Net, powered by Promote UK. We're really good at what we do.
Times are changing. We now live in a digital world where 9 out of 10 people use the internet to look for local goods and services. Whether in front of a computer at home or on a mobile phone on the go, people expect to find what they want, when they want, quickly and easily. The question is, can your business be found? At Promote UK, we specialise in getting local businesses found online. One highly affordable package will give your business a stunning mobile responsive website, which we guarantee to get to the first page of Google and keep it there. And we take care of everything: copywriting, design, hosting. We even offer unlimited amends all year round for no extra charge. So, whilst you're busy focusing on your business, we're busy making sure it can be found online all year round. Start your Google Page One journey today with a free online health check by visiting promoteUKLimited.com. Promote UK. We're really good at what we do.
From Premiership to Playground, MH Goals has everything you need for an outstanding football match, including aluminium and steel football goals, nets, line marking machines, team shelters, boot wipers and much more. Buy with confidence direct from the manufacturer with great prices available across our whole range of sports equipment. What's more, we offer fantastic discounts for all FA affiliated clubs. We pride ourselves on British manufacturing. We make all our football goals here in the UK and conform to the latest British and European safety standards. So call MH Goals direct on 01502 711 298 or visit our online store at mhgoals.com.
Are you a budding footballer sitting your GCSEs next summer, wondering what to do next? Want to play football while studying for qualifications that will get you into university? Dorking Wanderers Football Club are now recruiting for their football academy for 2018-2019. Based at their brand new state-of-the-art Meadowbank Stadium, you'll be playing in the National Conference Youth Alliance against the best clubs in the area each week, as well as the prestigious FA Youth Cup. You'll be studying BTEC Level 3 qualifications, equivalent to 3 A-levels, alongside professional coaching from our UEFA qualified coaches. For information on trials and open evenings, visit dorkingwanderers.com/academy or email academy@dorkingwanderers.com.
Head to backofthenet.south.co.uk tomorrow morning for video highlights and full match reaction of today's games. Back to your favourite non-league football show, powered by Promote UK. We're really good at what we do. Back of the net, where it matters.
Welcome back to the show this afternoon. We're live from Bromley Football Club for the game of the FA Trophy between Cray Wanderers and Grays Athletic. Plenty more to come in the next 20 minutes on the show, and we'll kick off by speaking to Glenn Driver, the Leicester manager. They take on Folkestone Invicta in the FA Trophy, and caught up with him yesterday. So nice to catch up with you, Glenn, and find out about how the season's going so far. League-wise, must have been delighted with the start.
3 games, we've conceded a few too many goals from their liking, but I do personally believe that, defensively as a unit we have been good up until the last 3 games. So, Folkestone at home, the 5-1 defeat was disappointing. But like I said, 4 goals that could have been avoided. And then when we lost the unbeaten run against Tunbridge, we could have got something out of the game, although we deserved to get anything else. So overall, great start, and only 2 defeats in 14 league games. I'm over the moon.
I was going to say, overall, it's been a brilliant start, and perhaps the last few results, does that tell you a little bit about the league more than anything else, that anybody can beat anybody if you're not quite at your game?
I don't think I've ever been involved in the league like it. I've managed kids and I've managed reserve sides and first teams before, and this league, Tunbridge went and beat us 2-1 at their place, and their manager Steve said afterwards that that's the best they've played all season, and that was a credit to us, because to have an opposition manager tell me that that's their best performance of the season, to take points off us when we most probably haven't been at our best. We're going in the right direction, and then what happens? He goes and loses to Tooting and Mitch in the very next game at home, 2-1. And that's no disrespect to Tooting, but when you look at league form, Tooting are down at the bottom at the moment, we're down at the top, and Tunbridge saw like ever mixed results. So anyone can beat anyone at this division. I think Billericay at the standout side, Glenn Tapman's got the sources to bring players in, as of Dulwich, and I think those two will, definitely be fighting out for the first and second spots.
We've certainly seen some crazy results already this season, and if ever there was an opportunity for you to put right the 5-1 defeat, then it's on Saturday in the FA Trophy. Has it come at the right time?
It has, but I feel we've already put it right. We went to Enfield, who have been excellent at home. They've had some fantastic results at home, Enfield. They took Maidstone to extra time, so, and I felt we had put it right at Enfield, if I'm honest. We'd been on a real thumping and went to Enfield. We had players out with injury, and we took 2 young kids from the reserves and under-18s, and we were 15 seconds away from coming away with a very, very credible 2-1, and a deserved victory as well at Enfield. We deserved to win the game at Enfield, although it was a game of 2 halves. We created the better chances, but like you said, focusing at home in the trophy, it gives us a chance to hopefully redeem ourselves. But sometimes these games can be a little bit dangerous because our boys can sometimes try a little bit too hard to put that result right. But I'm pretty confident we won't make as many mistakes in this game coming Saturday than we did against them in the league.
Matt Blake obviously got all the plaudits last year for the amount of goals that he scored in the league. When you look at the goal scoring charts at the moment, although it's early, not quite reached those heights. Do you think there's a lot more to come from him this season as well?
Loads more to come. I was a striker myself, and each season you do well, the following season is always harder because people know a little bit more about you. They start to double up on you. They start to defend deep and, to not allow too much space in behind. And that's been the case with Matt. We've created chances for him, and he'll be disappointed that he hasn't most probably scored more goals than what he's got at the moment. But his chances are limited. Last season he was most probably getting 4 chances a game. This season he's getting 1 and 2. And some have been half chances and some have been very good chances. But, we've got full confidence in Matt. And being a striker myself, I know what it's like to go through a little bit of a barren spell. You're looking for one to come off your backside or come off your knee, and he's up and running again. But his work rate is, getting better and better as the weeks go on. And I'm sure, hopefully, he will come good. And I still see Matt getting 30 goals. Some people might laugh at me for saying that, but once he go on this run, there'll be no stopping him. And hopefully that's sooner rather than later.
And for the team this season, and for within the camp promotion, is that your ultimate aim at the end of the season, to certainly be up in the playoffs at the end of the year?
I do watch your shows, and on some of your shows you do talk about budgets, etc., etc. And with Leiston's catchment area, it's very, very difficult to entice people to Leiston. We went in for a striker who sort of lived London way and opted to choose a club closer to London and coming to Leiston because of the distance. And I've openly said, as a football club, we have got to build a football club. And our under-18s got to the third qualifier in the FA Cup this year, which is a tremendous achievement for my young kids. Our reserves finished rock bottom of their league, and they're now sitting in the top 6. And as a first team, 73 points was my aim last year, to take the club to their highest ever points tally, and 74 points will be my aim this year. Yes, the football club wants promotion, and they're geared up for Conference South football, but the football club's got to be in a better situation, in a better position than what we're in now. And if we get playoffs this year, then it will be an unbelievable achievement for a club of our size, because we do have a budget to work to, and we haven't got the resources. I've now got 5 out at the moment, and when you've got 5 out, you're looking to bring in 1 or 2. We can't, because the budget doesn't allow me to do that. So we'll go with our kids, and we had an under-18 on the bench at Enfield. We had a goalkeeper who's 17, and we had young Josh Cheatham at 20. So youth will be the way forward when we get problems with injuries and suspensions. And if we get playoffs, then, like I said, without echoing myself and repeating myself, we will, it'll be an unbelievable achievement for a club of our size.
Back of the net, where it matters.
Yeah, makes quite a few interesting points, does Glenn Driver. Mick, first of all, fantastic achievement for them being up there. He says, they've got to beat that points tally from last season. 74 points is his aim.
Yeah, a very ambitious guy, comes across well. What I've been listening to that interview is interesting about budgets that he listens, but obviously I didn't get a chance to say it today to the guys, but maybe he said he was looking to maybe bring some of the London boys up there, and obviously the budget restraints don't help him. Maybe he should look in the other direction. Maybe there's plenty of northern guys that are there pretty much near that are maybe better coming down to him that way rather than London. But I'm very impressed with the guy. He really does come across, knows his stuff. Like the fact that he wants to give some of the youth an opportunity, which I think is what most clubs need to do. And when I was at Merstham last season, or we visited Leiston, it's a fantastic little ground, and they made us feel most welcome, and you could see that there's a good social side up there, and I think that might well take them to the point where Glen needs to be.
I wanted to bring that point up again about location, because it's something that we don't, perhaps if you're new to this level of football and listening in, you might not realise what he's saying there is that a lot of these players don't want to relocate, and it's difficult to attract them. We spoke to a few managers this season, and when they say looking at players, you do have to, it's a little bit different when you're in a full-time game, but at this level you do have to look at geographically somebody that's down at the bottom of London might not want to come up to Leiston.
Yeah, it is difficult where the location is, because they're a little bit out on the limb along with Needham Market and Lower Stofford, just out there on that sort of eastern coast area. And but there were plenty of guys that are plying their trade sort of a bit further north than him that maybe, there's plenty of northern sides that are doing well, and they outbattle a lot of us southern softies, they say. So perhaps Glen might look further up north than maybe down south, but I appreciate they did have some London boys in their squad last year, and they've obviously lost them. Perhaps the travelling just got too much.
Interestingly as well, I mentioned under 18s. When he talks about the club, again, it's something that at this level of football, talking about the whole club, under 18s, third qualifying round of the FA Youth Cup, that's a great achievement. He's looking at all of these things and saying, well, the club's growing, we've got to look to youth as well.
Well, hopefully the club stick by that policy, and any manager like myself, always looked at the youth policy and try and blood one or two good youngsters to make up the budgetary sort of, how can I put it, where you need to make up those little holes, and give these youngsters an opportunity to have a go at first team football. And looks like Glen is looking at that, and obviously their youth section looks like they're sort of flourishing and doing well in the youth cups and what have you. And it did come across as a very social type of club up there when I was last up there.
Final point for Leicester, Matt Blake not scored the amount of goals that perhaps we were used to seeing last season. For a striker, anything that you can do as a manager to turn that round, or is it purely he'll get one, he'll put it away, and then they'll all follow?
Well, like he said, it's just got to have one that comes off his backside. Maybe the coaches will work on finishing with him, but Matt's well known to this league now, and I think what Glenn said is plenty of teams know about what he's about, and they sit deeper and don't allow him the space, and perhaps that's what's hindered him a little bit more this coming season. But they should be looking at another boy to take the mantle over and take the pressure off Matt.
We talked a lot about Margate earlier on and how they're struggling. They're up away at Staines Town today. It's one of the prediction games. Staines are on a great run. They're unbeaten in their last 4 games, had a great win against Leatherhead 3-0 in their last game. And I caught up with Drax Hippolyte, who's understandably absolutely delighted with his team's form at the moment. So you must be delighted after the weekend 3-0 victory over Leatherhead.
I knew it was going to be difficult. Leatherhead had a great FA Cup run and got game in hand, so we know they can be a top 8 team, let's say. So we knew it was going to be difficult, and it was difficult at times, to be honest. But we rode our luck when we had to, and we took our chances when we had to, and got a great result in the end.
I remember speaking to you at the end of last season, and you'd gone on that massive run where you'd drawn so many games. You said you weren't far away from something special, and this year you wanted to really kick on. You must be delighted with the start of the season and the first 14 games.
Oh, without a doubt. I said to the players that normally after that 15 games, the league starts to take some shape, and we're desperate to be in and around, and I think we're good enough to be in and around the top 8, let's say, in the table. We haven't got the biggest of squads, but our first 14, 15 players are as good as most, So if the injuries are kind, I'd be disappointed if we're not around, like I said, the top 8 come in this season.
And you've had some tough games recently. We mentioned the Leatherhead game, but before that, Dulwich Hamlet, before that, Leiston, and these are top teams that are going to be, as you said, up at the end of the season.
Without a doubt. We've played Dulwich 3 times now. Played them in the cup and drew 1-1 with them on each occasion. They are very strong. They are very, very strong. Physically strong, technically very good, and got a squad in depth. And Leiston, I thought, was really impressive. We went away to Leiston, led twice, and they wouldn't lay down. I'd be surprised if them two teams are not, again, like I said, in the playoffs without a shadow of a doubt. So some good results recently, just need to keep that going.
And FA Trophy next up, how important is that for Staines Town this season?
Very important. A club like Staines, any little bit of money that we can get in is great. And from a manager's point of view, we just want to keep the run going of these unbeaten games. And I think it's 4 or 5 games that we're unbeaten. But we got knocked out of the FA Cup very early this year against a team in our league. So that was disappointing. So an opportunity to win some more games and make a little bit of money is very, very important to us.
And you mentioned the money. For anybody that doesn't know, it's per round worth more than the FA Cup, the FA Trophy. So for teams at this level, it's massive.
Oh, it's massive. Like I said, clubs like us, most clubs, I suppose, at our level now, crowds seem to be dwindling, especially midweek games when there's so much football on the telly and different sports. So every bit of money that we can get in via winning games in this FA Trophy will be greatly appreciated by the chairman, I'm sure.
When we speak to clubs, I always do a little bit of research and have a look at the next few fixtures. And just having a look at yours, obviously Margate in the FA Trophy, you then go to Margate in the league, you play Enfield, who have been in good form, and you take on Hendon, who are right up there as well. It's mouth-watering when you can be in and around the playoffs, isn't it?
Without a doubt. I watched Enfield on Tuesday night. They're a good side, got a bit of experience as well as a bit of pace about them. But like I said, the games come thick and fast, and there's no real easy games in this league. Even the teams like Worthing at the bottom, we went there and drew when we were 2-0 up. So take nothing for granted, but if we can come through them next 4 games unscathed, let's say, then I'll be a very, very happy man.
And for you, most managers say what I want to do is beat last season, but I touched on it at the start, but for you want to do more than that, because last season you said to me that you almost underperformed.
Yeah, last season, it was our first full season at the club. We completely changed the squad. I think we only kept 3 players that was originally there from the season before. So that took a bit of bedding in, but I still thought we should have finished higher than we did. So from that point of view, once we finish higher, I will be happy. But like I said, with this squad that I've assembled, I'll be disappointed if we're not around the 8th or above, in all honesty.
Have your say. Get in touch on social media. Just search official BOTN.
Mick, you mentioned it a little bit earlier in the show, Staines, when you did your predictions, but Staines are on such a great run of form. He's really building a squad there, isn't he?
He sure is, and probably if I could take that back, I probably would now, but I'll stick with Margate at the minute. But yeah, I mean, obviously Drake's got huge experience in the teams that he's managed before, and he's obviously managed at a higher level. I think it was with Maidenhead particularly. He had great success, and he knows plenty of contacts, and I think it was only a matter of time. Perhaps he needed that sort of second season like he has now, and they're really rocking, aren't they? And you can't see many teams going particularly to Staines and turning them over, because they're a strong side. They've got pace all over the place and experience along with it. So he's played them down a little bit, saying 8th, which most managers will do, but I expect them to be right on that fringe of the playoffs.
Another team that we expect to be on the fringes of the playoff will be in the Bostik South, and Maldon and Tiptree. They're currently 9th in the table with 3 draws and 2 wins in their last 5 games in the division. They go into FA Trophy action today, and I spoke to Kevin Horlock about their form this season and everything Cup competitions yesterday. It's been a good run of form for you.
Yeah, we've picked up with we've lost 1 game in 11, so it's quite pleasing after the little bit of an erratic start of the season that we had, where we lost a few on the bounce. So injuries are obviously getting better, which has made a big difference to us. So we're slowly getting there, and I'm hoping we go on a run of wins that up into the playoffs over the coming months.
Yeah, I remember speaking to you at the beginning of the season, and you did mention about the injuries and how it perhaps would take a little bit of time. You're still confident you'd be right up there. And as you say, that the run that you've been on, if that keeps progressing, then you're going to be up there in the playoffs at the end of the season or more.
Yeah, I hope so. That's the aim. I never hide behind the fact. Our aim this season is to get out of the division. Ideally, you want to win it. If not runners up, if not playoffs. So that's not changed. Obviously, we had a massive turnaround of players last season, which is always difficult. I think I lost 14 players, so it was a brand new squad. It took us, we actually didn't get the squad together till last game of the pre-season, so it's taken a little bit of time to gel, but we've got a talented squad of young players that are still learning the game, but coupled with a couple of experienced players as well. So yeah, we're picking up nicely. We've drawn a couple of games which ideally, if you win them, then we're probably in the playoffs as we speak. But that wasn't the beat. But the pleasing side for me is we haven't been beat in quite a while. So we're progressing nicely and under the radar. No one's talking about us, which makes a change. Certainly from last season. So we're quite happy, but we're still really focused on improving, and we know we've still got a lot to do.
Yeah, you talk about under the radar. You haven't been beaten since we saw you against AFC Hornchurch, and that game we both know should have gone your way in the second half as you totally dominated. So this league is tough, and when you look at some of the results that are going round in all three divisions, to be fair, to actually have gone on the run that you've gone on and not been beaten, it just shows what you've got in the squad.
Yeah, we never know when we're beaten. We got young lads that work their socks off for each other. Yes, we still need a bit of work. Yes, they're still learning the game at times, but we're turning into a team that's fairly hard to beat, which is really pleasing. And going forward, we always create chances. So there is still a bit of work to do. I would still like to add a little bit of experience, if possible, defensively, because we lost obviously Gavin Greenfield, who was massive for us last season. Curtis Haynes has been out 3 months and going to be 4 months, so we're losing Curtis as well. So a little bit of experience needed alongside the young talented boys that we've got. Hopefully we're continuing improving, getting better, and picking up wins rather than a couple of draws here and there that we have been. Speaking
of young players that are doing well, Junior obviously scored 18 goals so far this season. Are you confident that you can keep hold of him for the entire length of the season?
Yeah, I would like to think so. He's on contract, so there's no reason why we shouldn't, unless we get a substantial offer, obviously. He's a top player. He's been a massive find for us. And in a really young team at 23 years old, he's one of our, he's more or less our oldest player, other than Lockie. Yeah, he's been brilliant for us. He's the full package. He's the real deal. He scores goals. He's brave. He holds the ball up. So he's took the league by storm. So obviously we want to keep hold of him and want him to help us get where we want to be, and that's in the league above.
Take a break from the league this weekend. FA Trophy, take on Walton Casuals. They're having a good season, similar to yours as well. How important is that to the club?
Yeah, it's massive. Obviously, there's prize money on offer. We want to go as far as we can in the competition. We was disappointed to go out the FA Cup when we did, albeit against a team that was fairly strong, but it was a game that we could have won. So we're looking to progress. I know Walton Casuals fairly well from my time in the south with Chatham. I know the manager, Anthony Gale, really well as well. And I went to watch them, I think it was about 10 days ago, against Ramsgate. And you're right, they're a really good young team. They're a handful going forward. They're big and strong, so it should have the making for a really entertaining game.
Have your say. Get in touch on social media. Just search official BOTN.
I asked Kevin Horlock the question about Junior, who we saw, and he said he's going nowhere, obviously under contract, but really impressive and scored a lot of goals this season.
He's stuck in the back of my mind quite a bit, Ben, funny enough, when we were there on that cold Tuesday night down there. But they haven't gone under the radar as far as I'm concerned. I was very impressed with their performance against AFC Hornchurch. They probably should have done better or got better out of that game. But that Junior up front, we had a good interview with him afterwards, comes across as a nice guy. But yeah, definitely got potential, and I'm sure there's plenty of managers are eyeing him up, but as Kevin said, if they've got him locked up on a contract, then fair comment to Morna Tiptree, which obviously don't look like they're a club that have got plenty of money behind the scenes, so well done to them.
Yeah, watch that one with interest. Right, final thoughts on the show are going to go to two supporters of today's teams. And first off, Mark, who's a Cray Wanderers supporter. Very good afternoon to you, Mark.
Hello.
So, you looking forward to this one today?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good cup today. Very competitive. It's very unusual for us to play a former winner of the competition at this stage of the tournament as well. So it should be a good game. It should be close to call.
And you're obviously doing well this season. We talked to your manager and assistant. What would you change if you could change anything from the team this year?
Not a lot really. I think defensively we've been excellent. I mean, we've only conceded 9 goals, only 2 away from home. So the foundations at the back are well set. I think if you'd have said at the end of October we'd be 5th in the table, I think I would have took that, to be honest. I think 4 points from the last 2 away games is really good. I think the Sittingbourne game and 1-0 draw away from home is not a bad result there. And I probably wouldn't change anything at the moment. I think we're doing all right. I did say at the start of the season I think we would be promoted with Lewis as well. So I think I'm doing all right with predictions so far. I don't think I would change anything at this stage.
Very happy Cray Wanderers supporter. I wonder if David, the Grays Athletic supporter, is just as happy. David, very good afternoon to you.
Yeah, good afternoon, Ben.
Are you a happy Grays fan?
Yes, just recently we've hit a rich vein of form. We had a difficult start to the season. Manager Jamie Stewart, he brought in a lot of players, and things didn't go well at first, but we're unbeaten in the last 4. We had a draw on Wednesday evening against previously unbeaten Haringey Borough. We were 3-1 up with about 5-10 minutes to go, and it finished 3-3. But even, we would have taken a draw before the game. And the team are beginning to blend now. We've got a good spine. Richard Halley's recently been signed from Thurrock. He's playing in the middle of defence, and he's steadied the ship. He's very experienced. He talks well, organised. And we've got Barry Cogan, who was at Gillingham and Millwall, and he's an old head in midfield. And Jamie Slabber up front has played for us in the conference days. So it's a good spine with a lot of experience, and the youngsters are now they're feeding off that experience, and we're beginning to look a much sounder outfit.
Before I ask you about a prediction for today, I'm going to go back to Mark, the Cray fan. And Mark, I'm just going to ask you for your prediction this afternoon. FA Trophy, it's always exciting to be involved in a cup competition. How do you think you're going to fare against Grays?
I think it'll be a close one. There won't be a lot in it. I think 2-1 Cray Wanderers. I think it'll go to the wire, I think.
So, David, Mark says 2-1 to Cray. Are you feeling confident ahead of this game? What do you think the score's going to be?
Yeah, I think we go into it on form. I think confidence is high. We're under no illusions it's going to be a very tough afternoon. But I think we would settle for a draw, but you never know in cup football. As you know, we've won it twice, and it would always be nice to have another little run. So I'm confident that we will get some kind of result today.
OK, so David, confident that Grays will get some sort of result. Mark, you think it's going to be 2-1 to Cray. It's going to be a fascinating game. Enjoy the game to both of you, and thanks ever so much for coming on the show.
Thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
Brilliant. Always nice to hear from the fans of the clubs and getting their prediction. And Mick, final word, it is going to be exciting between these two teams. As mentioned there, Grays have got the history in the FA Trophy, and Crays are up and coming and looking decent this season.
Well, it's unusual where we see both teams are on a rich vein of form, definitely. Last 6, I think Grays have only lost 1 in the last 6, and Cray haven't lost. So I think we're going to see a good game out there today, and we'll wish them both well, and hopefully we get a good after-match interview with both managers, and let's just enjoy the game, and wherever we go, we bring goals.
Big thank you to our guests, of course, Tony, Joe and Gary, who came on the show today, all the managers that we got on and the fans, and of course to Remy, Luke and Mick as well. Bostik League show tomorrow from 10 o'clock. Highlights of this one. It's going to be fascinating. You don't want to miss it, and we'll see you next time.
Back of the Net, powered by Promote UK. We're really good at what we do. Head to backofthenetsouth.co.uk tomorrow morning for video highlights and full match reaction of today's games. Back of the Net, where it matters.